Seam heads, our Giants game day coverage begins now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping,
diving, he makes the catch,
and bats start cracking,
it is gone.
We bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
Hello, everybody, and good afternoon, and welcome to Talkin' Baseball on this July 4th as we celebrate our nation's Declaration of Independence and our nation's birthday, so to speak. And it's great to be with you today. I know the weather is hot all over the place. I know for me it's hot down here in Arizona, and I know around the Bay Area it's hot, so hydrate and take care of yourself. That hot weather is for real. We saw it in Birmingham when we were there a couple of weeks ago. But it is July 4th, and it is a celebration. It's that one of those holidays that we really can't celebrate without feelings of guilt or anything like that or responsibilities. It's one to say, wow, this country declared its independence on July 4th, 1776. The Declaration of Independence probably was written a couple of days before that, but it was saying to King George III of England, we've had enough, and we don't want to be told what to do by a monarch or someone with complete autonomy. And what happened before that, there were trade and tax issues, the Boston Tea Party and all that kind of stuff. And finally, the 13 colonies had enough and said, that's it. We are declaring our independence on July 4th, 1776. It started the war, which went on for about 7 years, and then we had the Articles of Confederation, and finally a Constitution and a president in 1789. So it took that long to figure out how to do it and how to create a government by the people, for the people, without a king in it, with checks and balances. So on this July 4th, with everything that's going on in the country, with all the court decisions and all the political things, I don't care which side of the aisle you're on, it doesn't matter. But you should be aware of everything that's going on in the country and what the country stands for, and we should really try to preserve it. So, interesting enough, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, two of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, both died on July 4th, 1826, and James Monroe on July 4th of 1831, and the only president ever born on July 4th was the great Calvin Coolidge. All right, so a little bit of trivia for us, but it is July 4th, and it is time to celebrate and really sit back and appreciate the country that we have and the democracy that we have that we must preserve. Woe and I will be up at Priest Ranch Wines in the tasting room in Yountville on Monday, and that is July the 8th. And we'll be there from 5:30 to 7:30. We're going to talk about Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda and a lot of baseball and things that we kind of do on the show when we're on together each Sunday. So go to priestranchwines.com. There are probably only about a dozen tickets left for this. It's $25. You get a glass of wine, and you can order food from the kitchen restaurant. There's a special menu and things like that. But it'll be pretty cool. It'll be warm up there, but it'll be cool for Woe and I to be doing this together. So priestranchwines.com. And I appreciate Melissa Miller for putting everything together, of course, with Colleen Edwards as well. All right, that's back to baseball. This is what we're here to talk about today on this Saturday. It is Game 2 between the Giants and the Atlanta Braves. A good baseball game last night. I mean, the Braves won it 3-1. The Giants faced a very tough pitcher in Chris Sale. He's a lefty. He's got 11 wins. Zach Gallen, we'll see, he pitches today against the Dodgers for Arizona. His manager is the manager of the National League All-Star team. I don't know who he'll pick to start the game, but let me tell you something. Chris Sale should be right there as the guy to get the nod. Zach Gallen has missed a lot of time, and unless there's a little nepotism there, the guy they saw last night, Chris Sale, the left-hander, should get the nod. The Braves win it 3-1. The Braves are a team that are having trouble scoring runs. Look, the Giants had trouble last night as well. The right-handed hitting lineup for the Giants really lacks some punch. It really does. Look, without Estrada and Flores in there, and all of a sudden, and I'll look at my scorecard from last night as I have it here on the live stream. The end of the order, I mean, you got Matos, Villar, Ahmed, Casali, and Fitzgerald. And on the bench, you've got Wade and Wisely and Yastrzemski and Bailey and Conforto. Those kind of are your best hitters. And even though there's a lefty pitching, I think you sort of have to have them in the lineup. Bob Melvin did a good job of pinch hitting last night and got him in there at the right time. But, of course, that was only one at bat. And I think they have to really take a hard look at that. Today, it's a different story. They lose last night 3-1, as I say. Sale 11-3. Hicks, I want to talk about him for a second before we talk about a little bit of today's game. Jordan Hicks, again, pitched a good game. It's his 8th game in a row. He's 0-4 in those 8 games, and he always runs into a little bit of trouble somewhere along the way. And look, this Braves team, without Willie Harris in there, without Acuna in there, without Arcia in there, at the end of that order, they don't have much going on. They try to lay a bunt down, hit the other way, do something, but they got nothing going on. The guys who can hurt you, Ozuna, Olsen, who's really having trouble. He's struggling making contact, but got a big hit last night. And Riley, those are the guys who can give you trouble. And for Hicks and Adam Duvall, our dear friend, he got a big double last night too. But this is 2 out in the 5th inning, his last inning. Hit to Ozuna. Olsen just lines one into left center field, a low pitch. Then Riley blasts one off the right field wall. That Slater once again gets too close to the wall. Ball gets away, 2-run score, and that's the 3 runs for the Braves. Braves bullpen was excellent last night. Let me tell you, the Minter, Jimenez, and Iglesias, they can go and get it done just like the Giants. And Jelly pitched great last night. Jackson got in trouble with an error, but he got out of it. And Jelly gave him 2 great innings last night. So, battle of bullpens, and the Braves end up prevailing 3-1 to square this series at 1-all. For the Giants, they're 6-3 in their last 9 games. Last 15 road games, still 5-10, and that includes that horrific trip that took them through Wrigley and beyond last weekend, that before they came home, where they had real trouble on that road trip into St. Louis and Birmingham and all that. So 5-10 in their last 15 games. For the Braves at home, they're very good, 27-15. But this, again, I will tell you, this is a Braves team that has challenged scoring runs. There is no question the Giants are getting them at the right time. And Austin Riley's fabulous. You shut him down, and you got a good chance of beating the Brave team. You really do, because I'm not so sure the other people in that lineup can beat you right now. And Logan Webb, who should be the Giants' all-star, once again is handed the ball and said, "You're the ace. Give us a win today." He's pitched great in Atlanta. He's 4-0 down in Atlanta. He's got an earned run average just above 2. So he gets the ball today for the Giants. The Giants on the road totally now 17-26. Not great. Help is on the way. And I'll say this again. I said it out of spring training. I've said it to you for the first 3 months of the season. The season has to breathe. It's got a long way to go. And I will tell you this. I'll tell you again. When you look at Pittsburgh and Washington and Cincinnati and the Mets and even the Cardinals, the Giants, when they play good baseball, they can handle any of those teams. And I say it again, I think it's going to be for those last 2 spots. I think it's going to be San Diego, Arizona, and the Giants. I tell you that for those last 2 spots. Those 3 teams out of the West are the ones that are going to be fighting. Look, the Dodgers are no picnic right now. And we saw that. The Giants took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers last week. And the Dodgers got pelted last night 12-4 by Arizona. And who's the guy? Christian Walker. Unbelievable. 2 home runs against the Dodgers last night. He's hit 17 home runs in L.A. He's hit 7 in 8 games against the Dodgers all over the place. This year he's got 20 on the season. And they were down 4-1 in the first inning. And that's one of the first times all year, it's only happened a couple of times, that Arizona has come back from a multiple-run deficit, and they got it done against the Dodgers last night. Dodgers are no picnic, and I'm not saying San Diego, Arizona, the Giants are going to catch them, but they're not winning this thing by 15 games, I'll tell you that. And the Dodgers throw Knack today. Landon Knack, we saw him against the Giants last Friday night. And for Arizona, Gallen goes in that one today. The Braves at home, as I said, are 27-15. The Giants in July are 1-1. And against the East, they're 10-11 on the trip. Just a couple of games now. They're 1-1 before heading into Cleveland tomorrow. And they, usually you kind of have a day game before you fly to Cleveland or another place. They have a night game here in Atlanta. They'll probably get into Cleveland 2, 3 in the morning and have to face the Guardians tomorrow night. And a very tough pitcher, this Tanner Bybee, goes for them tomorrow night. And I'm not sure who's going to pitch for the Giants. But as people are speculating, Kyle Harrison should be back on Saturday. And then Birdsong, we love him. Tell you, the guy's got a major league arm. Woe called this a few weeks ago, and everything he's done in the big leagues has made you believe that he's the real deal. He's going to go Sunday against Carrasco. That Logan Allen, the lefty, is going to go Saturday, probably against Harrison. And Bybee on Friday night is very tough, but a right-hander, and that left-handed lineup of the Giants is doing some damage. Against right-handed starters, and I think I looked it up today, the Giants have won 6 or 7 in a row, or 6 out of 7 against right-handed starters. So they have been doing well. And I said that's why I think that lefty lineup, I like it. I think they should be playing more. Let them play a little bit more right now. Other things going on in baseball, Soler, another couple of doubles for him. He's 8 for his last 26 with 6 doubles, so it's starting to happen for Soler. For the Giants, they had gone 12 games, scoring 3 runs or more, and that was broken last night, losing 3-1 to the Atlanta Braves. Kurt Casale threw somebody out last night. Congratulations. And it was a great throw. Without a great throw, they don't get him. And Casale made just a beautiful peg to second base to get an out. Slater had a great throw to the plate to get Riley. It was overturned. It was called safe, and then it was overturned through just a bullet. And if that throw is anywhere else, Riley is safe, and that's a 4-0 deficit for the Giants at that point. So Slater did that. He got a little close to the wall in Riley's double. And when you play a brick wall out there, you cannot be standing next to the brick wall. Well, we'll tell you that. You got to move back because the ball is going to take some crazy bounce off the wall. And it may have cost the Giants a run last night. The other thing I noticed about the Giants, and I've said this before in the show, they foul a lot of balls off. They do. They work that pitch count up, and they got Sale's pitch count up. And whether it's Ramos, Chapman, Matos, now they may not get hits all the time, but we said this last year. It's very important. They're softening up the pitcher for the next guy. And they built that pitch count up, and they did it for Sale last night. He was done after 6. And, boy, let me tell you, they almost got him. Chapman got him for a double, and he had to work hard to get that third out in the 6th inning, and he did. And Sale ends up with his 11th win last night. And as I said, he ought to start the All-Star game for the National League. Looking at the loss column, we'll take a quick look at that for these wild card teams. San Diego 43. San Diego, a nice win last night over Texas. The Cardinals 41. The Mets are 43 now. The Giants are 45. Arizona 44. Pittsburgh 44. Cincinnati 45. And Washington 46. So keep that in mind. One good week, 6-1, 7-1, puts you from 9th to 2nd. And that's where we are in this baseball season. So we got a long way to go, and it's going to be a story, believe me. The Mets lost today already, 1-0 to Washington. This James Wood, this big kid that Washington brought up, a left-handed hitter. He's 4 for 13 already. He walked. He scored a run last night, and he looks like he is the real deal. He's a good player. But Washington won today, 1-0. Jake Irvin. And I know who's Jake Irvin. No one knows who he is, but he's one of the best pitchers in the National League right now. Washington is getting some starting pitching. Derek Law got the save today, and Washington beats the Mets already. Remember in Washington they start at 8:05 Pacific because it's in Washington and they have the big fireworks and all that. So that game is over already. Derek Law got the save, and Washington ended up beating the Mets 1-0 there. All right, let's talk about today's game. a little bbit and give you my idea of this one. We've got Logan Webb going today for the Giants, and of course he is the ace. And for Webb, he's 6-6 on the year, 48-38 lifetime. This is his 129th start. He's been around a little bit, but 48 wins already. 5 solos in 112 innings. He leads the National League in innings pitched. This is fabulous. They try to ambush him, which a lot of teams do now. 22 for 63 against him. That's over 333. Stolen bases, 15 out of 17. Now, up and down the lineup, Webb's got to handle this today. He's got to be on his game today. Duvall, 4 for 15. Olson, 5 for 17 with a homer. Ozuna, 3 for 9. And Riley, 5 for 17. Everyone else, good luck. But those are the big guys, so you got to handle these people today. Charlie Morton, he's 40 years old. Pitches today for the Atlanta Braves. We've seen him a lot in baseball. We've seen him all over the place. He's been a great postseason pitcher. He's been good for Atlanta. He's 40. This is start number 368 for him. He's won 135 games in his career. 85 innings this year and 15 starts, so he doesn't quite get sick. So we'll see the bullpen for Atlanta today. 71 hits, 36 walks, and 87 strikeouts. The whip is 125, so you can get on base against him. And he pitches inside. And I tell you this, I've watched this for years. When he wins, he hits you. And I mean he literally, HBP, hit by pitch. He throws inside. He's not afraid to do that. And if he hits a couple of people, that means he's on his game. If he doesn't hit anybody, he's having trouble in command. So watch that today. Chapman, 4 for 17. Conforto, 3 for 9 with a home run against him. He's got 1,967 strikeouts in 2,046 innings pitched, 6 stolen bases, 5 caught stealing. I imagine Murphy will be back in there today. Lefties 218, righties 248, and as I said, 7 homers in 85 innings. So it's a good matchup. It'll be bullpens to decide it. Webb probably won't go 9. The weather is hot and muggy, so we'll see what happens with that. But both pitchers should be on their game today, and it should be an interesting game. 1-1 in the series, and we'll see the Braves in August in San Francisco for 4. And we'll see if they're healthier. By then, Acuna, though, is out for the year, and it does hurt this ball club. So that's a look at everything on this July 4th, where we should celebrate, have a happy day, think about what the Declaration of Independence means, that we declared, and the war happened after that, but we declared we will not listen to one man. King George III, good luck. We're done with you. And that is the essence of this country, that one man cannot run it. So that's the story today on this July 4th. All right, more coming up. Shayna Rubin, who covers the Giants for the Chronicle, will give us a report from Atlanta right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader. Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talking Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader. Talking Baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 1045 and 680, the Sports Leader.
All right, yes, we do. Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter, when it comes to analytical looking at baseball and just the inside of baseball, nobody does it better than Mark. Mark, how are you today?
I'm good. People must get confused if they're listening for the first time or if they're listening for the first time in a couple of years as to why there would be a theme song. There's like a lot of inside jokes going on right now.
That's all right.
I'm good. I'm happy to talk to you.
Yeah, we have people that listen religiously for years, so they all know when the Edwin Diaz trumpets sound that Mark Simon, the Met fan, is coming on. So
Yep.
we know that. All right, today, July 4th today, July 4th in baseball. Any thoughts about it?
I always remember July 4th for July 4th, 1985. I didn't watch the whole game. I think I watched a very small piece of the game, but it was a game between the Mets and the Braves that went 19 innings, had multiple rain delays in it, and it ended at 3:55 a.m. with Ron Darling striking out Rick Camp. Rick Camp homered in the 18th inning to tie the game. The thing that I think is really funny about that, everyone knows 2 outs, 2 strikes, the pitcher was up. Not only was the pitcher up with 2 out and 2 strikes in the 18th inning trailing, but Rick Camp is one of the all-time worst hitting pitchers in baseball history. And that you would normally say, okay, it's an extraordinarily unbelievable event, but you multiply that by like 1,000 when you add to the fact that he was one of the worst hitters that has ever come up in the history of the sport. He was hitting like 060 for his career at the time of that at bat, and he hits a home run to tie the game. It's the most famous July 4th silly moment in baseball history. There are certainly other moments that are particularly memorable, but I always think of that when I think of July 4th.
Yeah, and then they set the fireworks off at 3 in the morning,
Yes.
and everyone thought we were under attack at that point.
Exactly.
So, pretty crazy. Well, the Mets lost today 1-0 to Washington, and I bring it up for a couple of reasons. One, Washington brought up their new kid, James Wood,
Yes.
a big left-handed hitter who's like 4 for 13 already. And the pitcher today is one of those guys nobody knows about him.
Right.
Jake Irvin, 8 innings, a 1-hit ball. The Nats did win it 1-0 on a Winker pinch hit home run. But let's talk a little bit about this game today. I thought it was a good game.
Yeah, so Jake Irvin has been terrific for them this season. He's got a sub-3 ERA. His K to walk is excellent. He's very impressive. He wasn't the only one that impressed in the series. I do want to give a shout-out to a player that I like on that team, Jacob Young, who's their Gold Glove caliber center fielder who just catches everything. He's very impressive. He made a couple of nice catches in that series. But just getting back to Irvin today, completely dominant. I think it was 1 hit over 8 innings. He's got a good four-seamer. His curveball has been a very effective pitch for him this season. That was a nice win for them. I also do want to say this about James Wood, and you could tell this just watching on TV. He is gigantic. Yes. He's like 6'7", 230, 240. He's like Aaron Judge build. I don't know that he's necessarily the best defensive player, but he was hitting like 350 in AAA. He was crushing everything. His numbers had gone way up from the year before. He was the number 3 prospect in baseball. But the thing that stands out about that guy is that he makes anyone who's under 6 feet look like a child. He is giant.
Look, Washington, 46 losses, and I go through this every week. And the Mets now with 43, the Giants 45, and that whole group is still in that group that we've been talking about for 6 weeks, and we will talk about it for another 2 months. So glad that you could do a little review of Jake Irvin because he is now a force for Washington. All right.
Yes,
Logan Webb today. I think he should be the All-Star. Every time his turn comes up, you say, gee, he better win. He's the Giants guy, and he goes against an Atlanta team that's a little challenged offensively right now.
Yeah, they are, admittedly, and yeah, that's obvious with the absence of Acuna. The thing that I think has been impressive in this series is that Austin Riley has hit, which he did not do in the early part of the season. He is much better. I don't know if it's like timing or whatever, but his fastball numbers, offensive-wise, are much, much better than they were. The 2 guys that homered against Logan last year on the Braves, Acuna and Harris, are not playing in this game. So that's, I think, of benefit to him. The other thing to watch today is the last time he faced Atlanta, that was last year, changeup was very hittable. which is unusual for him. Normally the changeup is terrific, and last time that he faced the Braves, they were pretty good. They have been typically good against changeups from right-handed pitchers this year, but I guess we'll see just how good they are. The Dodgers, who are also very good against changeups, did not fare particularly well against it in Logan's last start.
It's funny, and I'm sure you look at this, first pitch 22 for 63 against him, and stolen bases 15 out of 17. So my point is this. When you swing early in the count, and the Braves did it in the first inning, the Giants did it in the first inning against Sale, you're sacrificing that pitch count for the chance to get a hit on that first pitch. And then you got to run on Logan Webb if you get on. So what about those two things?
Let's see. Well, I'll take the second point first, which has been problematic the whole season. I think consistently problematic, and not just for Logan Webb. I was impressed, whether it was yesterday or 2 days ago, that Kurt Casale threw down to second base in a first and third and got a guy out. So that was a good sign. But yes, he has to be cognizant of that, because that's going to be a problem. Every team's going to pick up on it from here forward, and there are certainly a lot of teams that are very eager to run. And I think to be more eager to run, that's problematic against him. The other point is, the thing that's I think a pain point for Webb is he doesn't have a pitch that's going to get a swing and miss, and he doesn't have a pitch that's going to get a swing and miss on a first pitch. And I think that causes him trouble sometimes. And I'll be curious to see if the Braves come out really aggressive against him today with the first pitch history that you just talked about.
Yeah, because it does sacrifice the pitch count. And Chapman, Ramos, Matos, these guys, they foul pitches off like crazy, and they work that count up. And we'll see. That's something I'm going to watch today. Now, Charlie Morton, he's 40 years old, and I said in my open, he likes to hit you, and I don't mean hit the bat. He likes to hit you. And when he's got his control, he'll hit a couple of batters. But he's 40, and here he is still pitching. How about that?
It is amazing that if you look at like the last 3-4 years for him, even though the ERA fluctuates a bit, his other numbers tend to be pretty good. Like he either cuts back on the home runs allowed, or his strikeouts per 9 are good. Up until this year, he was striking out 10 guys per 9 innings this season. He still has the curveball. I guess he'll keep pitching until he can't throw that anymore. And the curve was really good. In fact, he wasn't very good in April and May, particularly in May. In June, he was a lot better. And the primary reason for that was his curveball was basically unhittable. So I think the Giants have to be smart in going up against that today and not doing some foolish things at the plate and chasing. Chasing is certainly a big thing today. And I want to fix one thing I said on Logan Webb. Changeup was a little hittable against the Dodgers in his list of out. It was a slider that was very good. Fixed.
Well, Morton is 33 strikeouts away from 2,000 in his career, so that tells you he can.
He's had a great run.
Yes, he has. He really has. That is that. Okay. Doug Eddings. I'm sure the pitchers would love to have Doug Eddings behind the plate every time they pitch. No Doug Eddings today, thank God.
Yes. We have the opposite of Doug Eddings today. We have Sean Barber, as a matter of fact, who has one of the smaller strike zones in baseball since the start of last season. He's particularly tough on pitchers when a right-handed batter is up. You're not going to get the borderline calls. You're not going to get anything close to the borderline calls that you get with Doug Eddings. He tends to call it very close to the rule book on that outside corner. He's not going to give you like that extra inch or two that Doug Eddings and Bill Miller and Lance Barrett and all those guys give, like Eddings did 2 nights ago.
That's going to drive Bailey crazy if he can't get the.
This is going to be a tough one for him today.
All right. Soler. A lot of people complain about Soler, but to me it looks like he's starting to hit. I said it on the show, 8 for 26 with 6 doubles, I think, of the 8 hits. He's starting to. Now, I don't know why he leads off. Maybe you can explain it to me, but he's starting to be somewhat of a factor.
Yeah, I think you asked me that last week, too, and I didn't have a good answer for it.
I want to know. Come on.
I don't know. You got to get Bob Melvin on the show. Since June 1st, Soler's OPS is about the same as it was for the entire season last year. So they've gotten the Soler that they were hoping to get essentially over the last 5 weeks. And what I think is particularly noteworthy about just him playing is that when he's in the lineup, the Giants' batting average is about 35 points higher. Their OPS is about 100 points higher, and their runs per game are almost one more run per game when he's in the lineup, as opposed to the 15 games that he hasn't been this year. Mm-hmm. So when his just being on the field and in the lineup, there's lineup protection issues, there's big hit moments in the last month. I guess I would just say he's a benefit when he is out there and when he is anything close to right.
Yeah, he's starting to do damage. He is. Yep. I like it. No, I'm glad the numbers bear that out. No Arcia here. He had an impacted tooth, an abscess, and I don't know if he'll play today. But, Arcia, the old-time shortstop, the Cleveland shortstop they're going to see. When's Ray Euler coming back?
So I'm glad that you brought this up. So Arcia and Rocchio, who we're going to see in the next series, really good defensively, can't hit. They're your, for the older people that are listening, they're your Mark Belangers, right? Like they're those guys. And those guys now are such anomalies in the sport. If you look at every position on the field in baseball this year, shortstops are the best hitters. Like back in 40 years ago, shortstops were the worst hitters of any position on the field. And your Cal Ripkins and your Robin Yountz were the anomaly guys. Now there are like 10, 11, 12 Cal Ripken types. And there are only a couple of these shortstops that are like what Arcia has done this year and what Rocchio has done this year that are the good field no hits. So it's funny how baseball kind of like turned itself over at the shortstop position over a 40-year period where now the shortstops are the best players on the field.
What about Ahmed? Would you say he's good field, no hit?
Yeah, I think so. I think he would fall under that.
Yeah. How about remember the Mets had the Cuban shortstop?
Yeah, Ray Ordonez.
Ray Ordonez, that's right. And he was a heck of a fielder. Well, I still think to win, you need that shortstop. I don't care what he hits. I really do. I think you need him.
Well, the really good ones are the Gunnar Hendersons, who are just amazing at both.
Well, yeah. But look, if you don't catch the ball in the ninth inning, which unfortunately put Luciano back in Sacramento, it's trouble. And you have to...
And that's what makes like Miguel Rojas so valuable.
Yeah. Boy, he saved the Dodgers with Mookie Betts out. Cleveland comes out next. Now Cleveland's rotation 4.42. Bybee is good. They get Logan Allen and then Carrasco, one of your old buddies, on Sunday. The Cleveland rotation is nothing to write home about, but their record is unbelievable. What do they do?
It's so bizarre. I was looking at this a few minutes ago. You're right. They have two starting pitchers. They're I guess in that respect, they're kind of like the Giants. They've gotten this year so many big hits. They have out-hit like their expectations, I think. You wouldn't expect a team that was sixth in slugging percentage and fifth in on base to be third in runs scored. But they are because they're getting all these big hits. So they're getting big hits that give themselves the lead. And then they've got Emmanuel Clase, Hunter Gaddis, Tim Herron, who I'd never heard of before the last little while. They have a lockdown bullpen of 5 or 6 guys, all of whom have ERAs that are like 30 and 40% better than the league. Their strikeouts to walk, 39-4, 40-7, 49-9. That's great. And that's how they're winning. They are outperforming what they should be on the strength of really good hitting with runners in scoring position and a very strong bullpen. And give Stephen Vogt credit for coaxing the maximum out of his team through the first 84 games this year.
Yeah, Quan, 360.
Yep.
He's like one at bat away from being one of the leaders, so they get him. Cleveland at home, 27-10, and then the guy we've talked about before is that Ramirez. He's terrific. All right, so that's Cleveland bullpen, and they do the little things to win games.
Defense too, very good defensively.
Okay, Bruce Jenkins and I will talk about a couple of things. One, Larry Doby, of course, breaks the color line in the American League on tomorrow's date, July 5th, 1947. The other one we always talk about is Dave Righetti's no-hitter. on July 4th, which was very exciting. George Steinbrenner's birthday and all that stuff. But you came up with another no-hitter. Come on.
Yes, let's talk Hooks Wiltsey. I like this one. It has a very old-time feel to it. It's a Giants no-hitter. It is the only Giants no-hitter that went more than 9 innings. He threw a 10-inning no-hitter back on this date in 1908. He was a side-arming pitcher, and it should have been a perfect game. If you remember a few years ago, Max Scherzer had a perfect game with 2 out in the ninth, and he hit a guy.
Hit the guy. Yeah,
and that's
Pittsburgh.
Hooks Wiltsey, 2 out in the ninth, 2-strike pitch. Pitch is taken. The batter steps out of the box thinking that the game's over because he was convinced that the pitch was right down the middle, and the umpire called it a ball. And then, like, a pitch later or 2 pitches later, he hits the guy, and the guy goes to first base, and that's the only base runner of the game. Should have been a perfect game. Ended up being a no-hitter. Hooks Wiltsey, give him his props. He was a good pitcher. He was on the 1905 World Series winning New York Giants. A strikeout pitcher for the time, 5.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, right there with Christy Mathewson on that 1905 Giants team. But yeah, that's your Giants no-hit history on. It's not only Dave Righetti, it's Hooks Wiltsey, 1908 New York Giants.
I love it. Very good. Very good. All right, Mark, enjoy the 4th. Have a good time, and next week we'll talk Minnesota and the Giants next weekend. And I will say this. I still think Minnesota's got a run in them at Cleveland. I really do.
Sure.
I like, and they brought up Brooks Lee, one of their top prospects. I saw that. They brought him, and Carrie's having a good year, too. All right. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the 4th, and it's great having you on. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
All right. That is Mark Simon. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter, have fun with him. The guy loves baseball, and he knows his stuff cold. Very good. All right. Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader.
window of the original Joe's on North Beach, and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
I hope you're enjoying July 4th wherever you are, and baseball is a big part of it. And, of course, it celebrates the birthday of our country, where we told King George III, sorry, we're not going to be run by one man or woman who thinks they're above the law and tells us what to do. And we declared our independence, and we have been going that way ever since. So that is July 4th. Bruce Jenkins, how are you today?
Good. I'll tell you, this is a great day to spend the 4th out here on the coast. Everywhere else is just roasting, and we're out here at like 72, 75 all day, every day this week. Just tremendous.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, well, that's the beauty of Northern California. Come down to Arizona. It's 112. So,
oh, my gosh. Yeah, no thanks.
No. Well, look, hey, in Atlanta, similar to what we went through at Birmingham at the Rickwood game, it's high humidity, 90 degrees. I remember those brave giant games on those Saturday nights with Bob Nepper throwing in 200 pitches in the heat. And we get one today. It's a good one. It's Logan Webb and Charlie Morton. It's a good matchup.
Well, that is a really good matchup. Anytime Webb's pitching, you feel good. And Charlie Morton just the other day, when he beat the Pirates, it meant he'd beaten every team in the bigs. He'd beaten all 30 teams. He was in the American League for a couple of years. That's quite a feat. But, the big curveball, he's still around. I don't know if he's had any serious arm issues. He's one of those guys. And so it's a very classy matchup.
Yeah, as I said to Mark Simon, he's 33 strikeouts away from 2,000. How about that?
Oh, my. Yeah, exactly. He can be lights out when that breaking pitch is working. Very, very tough to hit.
368th Major League start for Charlie Morton. But here it is, Logan Webb. Bruce, we talked about it last week, kicked it around a little bit. But for me, Webb is the guy. He's their all-star. And every time his spot comes up in the rotation, you say, well, he better win today. They need him.
Yeah, he loves that. That's exactly what he wants. He wants to go 9 every time if he could, if the game's going that way. And I think he eventually will, maybe more than once this year. But yeah, he's, as we've said, I've said for sure, he definitely should be on the All-Star team, even if they're just looking for a giant. Forget it. He should just be there no matter what. Mm-hmm. I think Bailey's he's up against it with the Contreras and Will Smith, and it's going to be tough. Chapman's got a whole bunch of guys that probably are ahead of him. Duvall has been not quite the Duvall of old, so it could just be Webb, but he's deserving.
Well, Ramos, that outfield, Yelich, Profar, and Tatis. And Tatis, he's hurt. It's not crazy to say, for what Ramos has accomplished in the month of June. He could be player of the month in June. I mean, Ohtani probably will be. But, I could see Ramos getting in there.
Yeah, he'd be up against Teoscar Hernandez and Brian Reynolds and Jazz Chisholm and Jackson Merrill, all of whom really legitimately have better credentials in terms of their games played. And obviously, we love what Ramos is doing, and we may have to be happy with that. I just hope he continues it.
Yeah, I think you're right. One thing I noticed last night, they foul off a lot of pitches, and that builds that pitch count up. And especially a guy like Morton today in the heat. Let's see if they can foul pitches off. I think it's a plus for the ball club.
As long as you finish the job, absolutely. Work the guy, work the count. It's a real art to it. I think some of the guys, they've become they're looking to do that. It's not a pitch they can do much with, but maybe it's a 2-strike count, and they're going to do something with it. And Solera, I wouldn't say is quite there yet, but a lot of their guys do have that touch. It's an asset.
Yeah, for me, the other thing I was thinking about is Patrick Bailey. He's a fine player, good hitter, but he's not a number 4 hitter. No. I just don't, and 3-2 and the pitch is a quarter of a millimeter inside. He's taking it and running to first base. Glad he's got a walk. You can't have that for your cleanup hitter. Cleanup hitter's got to put the ball in play.
Yeah, I mean, what's the team leader with 11 homers is like 11 is their lead. And Ramos will probably take care of that, and he's probably the best candidate they have. As long as Soler is just, he's been just really, really bad. He's picking it up a little bit, but that's a spot where you want power and reliability. And you're right, he's not a frontline cleanup hitter just by any means. You like to see him down more like 6 or 7, and maybe Ramos can step into that, but certainly nobody else qualifies.
Yeah, I would move Soler back into the lineup somewhere. He is a threat. And I think that you need that as well. So we'll see what they do today against Morton. The left-handed lineup will be in there today with Yastrzemski and the rest of them. July 4th always was that time when they always said, let's see if you're leading your league or your division on July 4th. So I thought maybe we would take a look at that together and see if the winners of July 4th, the leaders of July 4th, let's see if they're the ones who we think will win at the end. And we'll start with the Orioles and the Yankees. The Orioles have the lead over the Yankees, and the Yankees are going to lose another one today. They're going to lose their 11th out of 14 to the Reds. How about that?
Yeah, the Reds were up 8-4 the last I saw. They hit 3 homers off Stroman, and the Yanks are getting dusted at home by the Reds with Jonathan India and the boys. But the Orioles have a 2-game lead. But I mean, that to me is a toss-up. I mean, the Orioles have they ever missed on a first or second round draft choice? They keep bringing these guys up, and they all can play. They keep running out pitchers. When guys get hurt, but they've got Kramer and comes in there and pitches a great one, and they just Grayson Rodriguez and Rutschman and Henderson. I love that team, and of course the Yankees have the Murderers Row. It's a classic matchup. I wouldn't be able to pick a winner there. Houston's going to pass Seattle. There's not a question in my mind there. Yordan Alvarez is hot. They hit the ball, and Seattle just doesn't. They're really not playing good ball at all. And I don't know if they can really. They've got pretty good pitching, but I don't know. They seem weak, I think.
Yep. Houston is hot. I think they won again today against Toronto. I think they already knocked them off. I agree with you on the Orioles-Yankee thing. That Carlos Rodon is a big deal for me. He's had 4 straight losses, and he's given up 6, 7, 8 runs. It was better last night, but still, he's the key for the Yankees for me, because if he's okay with Cole, then, of course, you got something. Yeah,
Rodon, right, struggling. He was out there last night. He's down 3-0. I think it was the 6th inning. He had settled down after getting rocked early, and it's only 3-0. He retires De La Cruz, which is huge. Then he walks a guy, and Boone takes him out. You can see Rodon, I think he says, no way, as Aaron Boone was making his way out there. He didn't raise a big stink, but he was really not happy. And plus Stroman gets lit up today, and Heel has come back to earth. So It's just such a contrast between those two teams, and that's what makes a great baseball race. I think Cleveland's going to hold on, and the rest of the finishing up the American League, I think Cleveland holds on there. I don't think Minnesota and KC have enough to pass them, and Cleveland's just they've got a bit of magic, and Stephen Vogt is doing a fantastic job, and Stephen Kwan and the Naylor brothers and Jose Ramirez, and it's a good club. They're really fun to watch, and absolutely earned their 7-game lead or 6-game lead now. 27-10
at home.
Wow, yeah.
I think Minnesota still has a run in them. I just do, and we'll see. The Cleveland rotation, I know they got Savali from Tampa Bay. They're going to need some help in the rotation, but they're awfully good. I agree with you. The Oriole thing, I want to go back to that for a second. I think the Orioles will hang on to this thing, but they still have Kimbrel as the closer, and he got his 21st save last night. He's 4th all-time now, and his earned run average is 2.23. He is having a year, but, boy, can you imagine in October bringing this guy in to win the pennant for you?
No, I can't. There'd be so much anxiety in the stands at Camden Yards. I mean, those fans know the deal. I mean, he has a terrible history of even this year with not many 1-run saves. He's been better with a 2 or 3-run lead and getting that save. But he's picked up a couple one-run jobs. He is pitching great right now, but he's 100 years old, and he has his recent history has been checkered, I think is the word, Marty. Checkered recent history.
Yes.
And,
I call it scary. How about that?
Well, yeah, he's scary out there. You don't want scary. You want somebody who's going to save like 19 out of 20 for you.
And last night I'll tell you this Iglesias last night. Now he's kicked around a little bit. He's been around a couple of teams. He was just throwing darts last night.
Yeah, really pitching is just so crazy. I mean, guys, we're in Mexico last year, or the Netherlands, or somewhere. All of a sudden, well, he found a new pitch, and he's finally healed from his Tommy John, and look at him now. You can't get him. You can't hit him. These guys are all over the place. The Padres have a couple of those guys, and so Iglesias, he's burning hot. Maybe that lasts all year. Maybe he's done tomorrow.
Boy, what a season. The season's got to breathe. That's what I said last week. We got a long way to go. All right, the Phillies. No Harper, no Schwarber. I think they're getting beat by the Cubs today. Cubs are finally going to win a game. But Atlanta, Bruce, there's too many guys out for Atlanta.
Well, there are. That's going to be their biggest problem. The Phillies, Trey Turner, Harper's been out and Schwarber, but Turner comes back, and I'm glad he's starting the All-Star game, by the way. He's the best choice. I mean, he came back, and immediately he just hit two bombs. He went completely out of Wrigley. Bohm is just he's just all season he's been great. I think he's leading in RBIs now, and they could put three guys in the Cy Young voting, right? With Wheeler and Nola and Suarez, and
Sanchez too. Put him in there too.
Yeah, Sale was great last night. Freed's been great, but the Braves don't have their rotation by any means. And Acuna is eternally a very damaging injury for them. And the Giants play everybody straight up when you think about it.
They do.
They really do. But the Braves they're not what they've been, and I don't think they make up a lead like that against. And the Phillies bullpen has been dominant too. So where's the weakness on that team? Especially Harper's coming back now. Yeah.
No. Yeah, Phillies. I think they will hold on easily in this thing. And you're right. Everyone on the staff. And I don't care who they pitch. Sanchez was the other guy. Got the big Rangers, Suarez, and Sanchez. I'm not sure you can tell them apart. They're both lefties. But Milwaukee. Now, Colin Ray shut out 6 shutout last night, or 8 shutout, whatever it was for Milwaukee. They're good. They seem to hit, and they're not going away. They're just not going away.
Yeah, they haven't had Devin Williams. They haven't had Woodruff, and they just really hit. This guy Bryce Terang, who was a 21st round pick, is absolutely stepping. He's an all-star candidate. He runs great. He plays defense great. He's a real spark plug. Adames is tremendous. Yelich is an all-star starter. Up and down the lineup, they got the catcher is a starting all-star, William Contreras. So they've just got what it takes. And to me, they're a lot more fun than they've been to watch up and down the lineup. Chirios is a very exciting young player, just up and down. And they've got a. What do they have? They're up by 7 over the Cardinals, and the Pirates and the Reds are pretty far back. So, I don't see the Cardinals coming up with that, making up that deficit.
No, Cardinals won today over Pittsburgh. It seems like these teams are always playing each other every day.
Yeah.
They won today. Yeah, Milwaukee, for me, I think they've used 16 or 17 starting pitchers now.
Jeez.
That means openers, too, so it's not quite crazy, but it is bordering on crazy. But you're right, and we haven't seen him yet. I'm looking forward to seeing him. And they have this Mitchell, the center field, another kid.
He can really run, that guy.
Yeah, they brought him up. Yeah, this is good. All right, the Dodgers. Arizona last night comes back from a 4-1 deficit in the first inning, and they win 12-4. Christian Walker, 17 homers against the Dodgers now. He's got like 7 and 8 games this year, and I still say it. I'll say it from day one, all spring. Dodgers are terrific, but they're just not invincible. They're not.
No, not at all. I mean, Yamamoto and Buehler are both on the shelf right now. Glasnow, you always wonder at what point is he going to be able to go 7 great innings for you with his history. Is he going to be that guy in September? Bobby Miller's a total question mark. The bullpen is really ordinary for my money. And, obviously what they can do is the other night the first game of the Arizona series, it's like Smith doubled, Freeman doubled, Teoscar base hit, the game over.
That's it. Yeah.
They're down a run. It took them like 5 minutes to win that one, and that's what they can do. That's exactly the Dodgers, and Mookie Betts will be back at some point. But with a somewhat dubious rotation and bullpen and a weak bottom of the order, come on, that's not invincible. Exactly. They're not going to the World Series, I don't think.
No, I agree. And San Diego has I tell you, someone's got to run in them. I realize it's hard for the Giants and for Arizona. They just haven't been consistent. San Diego has a little bit more, and they've won 10 of 13. I think they're winning again today over Texas behind King. So I think San Diego still has some pressure on the Dodgers, but Dodgers should hang on. But that one, for my money, is not over yet. So that's where I stand on that one. I don't know if you care or anyone cares, but they changed the rules on the home run derby. How about that?
I saw that they changed it, and I didn't read it.
Neither did I.
I tape that, and I sort of fast forward and stop every now and then and check it to how they're doing. I cannot hang for hours with that thing.
No.
So what did they do?
I don't know. It's like reading the IRS code.
You don't care either.
No, not at all. I started reading it, and I said, that's it. I'm done. It's like reading the IRS code. It's subsection C. If that happens, you go to 1, 2, or 3. Little a, little b. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I stopped when it said pursuant to the specifications there too.
I'm sorry. Can't they just have a guy throw and see who hits the most home runs, and that's it? Really?
Oh, I know. The best one was the 1959 home run derby at the old Wrigley Field in L.A., the copycat Wrigley Field where they brought in everybody under the sun. They brought in Mays and Mantle and Aaron and Ernie Banks, and he's just who can hit the most homers off batting practice pitching. It was a classic old TV show. It's way back. You can find it, though. You can find it. It's really entertaining.
And if you hit a home run over 435 feet, you get an extra out, whatever that means. And who's measuring it? I'm sorry. But the Giants did get a guy in the futures game, which I'm very excited about. This Bryce Eldridge, because Ron Wotus told me, Bruce, he said, this guy can play. He can play. And it's a question of his position, which I think is first base, as opposed to the outfield. But Woe says this guy can play.
Yeah, well, he was a two-way player. I don't think they've ruled that out right now. For the moment, they have. He's just a hitter. I mean, he has to focus on that, and then we'll see. I mean, but he does have a lot of talent as a pitcher. But moreover, he's a left-hand hitter with power. He's a real hang-loose guy. I saw him interviewed in the dugout. He just kept talking about, how great it's going to play at Oracle.
Oh, good.
And not in a really cocky way. Just, he really thinks he's going to be up, and he will. He'll definitely get some kind of a look, because that's the kind of club that it is, and they like to look at these guys eventually. But that's a good draft pick. He's going to be in the futures game, so he'll probably get an at bat in that coming up. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Well, it is July 4th, and you and I we've been doing these shows for so many years. It is one day before the debut of Larry Doby in the American League, breaking the color barrier, July 5th, 1947, just a few months after Jackie Robinson, April 15th, 47, broke it for the Brooklyn Dodgers. But Larry doesn't get much play. We try to do it every year to talk about him, and this year, after you and Paul White, we have Jerry Eisenberg, the great baseball writer, wrote a book about Larry Doby, which we'll get to later this morning, or this afternoon. But let's talk Larry Doby a little bit.
Well, yeah, it was only like 11 weeks after Jackie. You got Larry Doby in the American League, facing the same obstacles, the same colossal burdens. He shows up with the Indians as they were called in, and nobody talks to him. On his own team, he needs a glove, and nobody will lend him a glove. He did say that Joe Gordon took the time to help him out. Like it's the one guy that he remembers from those early days. But this guy, and Larry Doby was kind of a loner to begin with. Out of New Jersey, played for the Newark Eagles in the Negro League. He's experienced an awful lot of segregation in his life there and in the military, and just a loner anyway. And now he's really alone. But by that was 47. By 48, he's in the lineup. They get to the World Series. He homers off Johnny Sane. This guy had wonderful numbers, Marty. In 54, he led the league in homers and RBIs. He only made 2 errors in center field. And geez, I mean, against really titanic odds, this guy just, like Jackie Robinson, he was the guy to do it. He rose above everything and was a full-fledged star.
Yeah, Bill Veeck wanted to do it, and Bill Veeck was tight with Abe Saperstein, who was the agent for the Negro League players. And Bill Veeck got Larry Doby through Abe Saperstein, who also had the Globetrotters in those days. But, Larry Doby, he was the difference in 1948 when that's the last time the Cleveland, quote, Indians, end quote, won a World Series. Now they're the Guardians. But Larry Doby was a big part of it. But I'm so glad we could acknowledge him. And as I said, Jerry wrote this book about him, and we'll talk to Jerry in a little bit. But Larry Doby really, Bruce, he had to endure a lot more than Jackie because his own teammates, as you aptly put, turn their back on him. So I think that's the key here.
Yeah, that's talk about scary. That really is scary. It's a kid, but it's a sign of the times. I mean, the Yankees didn't integrate till 1955, Marty, with Elson Howard. I mean, good God, 8 years later? Are you kidding?
Yeah,
those are the times.
The Cardinals, the Phillies, the Red Sox, put them in there too. It's funny. As an aside here. On Facebook, they have these little reels they show every once in a while, and they show the starting lineup for the National League in 1965. And everyone was a black player except for Pete Rose and Joe Torre. Everyone, and a Hall of Fame type player. Yeah.
Well, that's what I loved growing up, watching the National League when the Dodgers came out and into the 60s, was just so many great, Billy Williams, Richie Allen, all these guys, let alone Mays, Aaron. And you look over at the American League, it really wasn't happening at all. I'm thinking, geez, I'm sure glad we're watching National League ball here. It was a big difference, and it lasted a long time.
Yeah, and that's why I say the Oscar Charlestons of the world and Cool Papa Bell and people like that, they deserve all their accolades today because they were great players. What do you think? These guys just happened to become great players in the 60s by accident? They were great players. They all had the ability. So
yeah, I mean, Jackie Robinson and Larry Doby and Monty Irvin, they were all really good players, but they played against guys that they looked up to. Yeah, Willie Mays did. I mean, good grief, you can imagine the talent going on there. Yeah,
as I said last week, they played against guys who sharpened their spikes with razor blades, and that's
it's a hard crew. No room for Solly Hemus in that crowd, I'll tell you.
No, not even Ty Cobb. Yeah. All right, a very quick one. Dave Righetti, we always like to acknowledge him on July 4th, George Steinbrenner's birthday. He did no-hit the Red Sox, and the part I love is Wade Boggs. He struck him out for the last out.
Yeah, exactly. So it struck him out swinging, which was always an event. The guy hit 360-something that year. But Righetti was quoted as saying, as Boggs comes up, he goes, "This is the best thing ever. I'm working the Rosenbag here and thinking this is the best hitter in the league, and this is exactly what I want. It gets to 2-2, and then Boggs said this guy threw two kinds of sliders, one that really breaks and one that kind of doesn't. I was hoping it was the one. It wasn't the one that breaks, but I guess wrong, and he swung and missed, and it was the first time the Red Sox had been no hit since '68."
Wow.
And the first one at Yankee Stadium since Don Larson, 1956.
Wow.
So, yeah. So Dave Righetti, I mean, obviously we know him as a wonderful Giants pitching coach, made such a difference on those great clubs. But, he came up as a starter and was obviously, dynamic. And when they get Gossage, they go, well, we're going to put you in the bullpen. And he wasn't happy, but what does he do? He turns into an all-star reliever. So what a class act out of San Jose.
Love him. He's wonderful. I love Dave Righetti. Well, good to talk to you. Enjoy the 4th, Bruce. We'll talk Saturday, Giants in Cleveland Saturday. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marty.
All right, that is Bruce Jenkins. More coming up. Paul White next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Just a quick note about the rooftop restaurant at the Via Hotel, the Hotel Via across the street from the park. They do a wide variety of events on the rooftop, from weddings and birthdays to corporate retreats and special events, holiday events, and any other special occasion you can think of. With stunning 360 views of the skyline, Bay Bridge, East Bay, and of course Oracle Park, the rooftop at Via is truly one of the most unique event venues in San Francisco.
Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Orange and Black family, the godfather of Giants baseball, now continues. This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
Pleasure to have you back with us on this July 4th. We welcome in Paul White. Paul, a wonderful baseball writer, and he's been on with us for so many years, and the holidays especially. Paul, how are you?
Doing great, buddy.
Yeah, good. Well, I'll give you a shot just like we did with Bruce Jenkins. It's July 4th, and we always look at the leaders on July 4th and say, hey, are they going to hang on or not? So I'm going to let you give us your opinion on Yanks and Orioles. Who's hanging on here?
I'm going to take the Yankees. I think Garrett Cole had a big second half, and that'll put him over the edge. But that's going to be a great race.
Yeah, I picked the Orioles in this one, although Kimbrel worries me. Rodon can't get anybody out, and Cole you never know, as you said, and that heel has sort of come back to earth, and Cortez not so good, and will Soto be healthy? I'm going Orioles.
All right. Yeah, I think that's a great race. They're both in the playoffs.
Yeah, Kimbrel's the only one that worries me.
Right, yeah.
To bring him in. All right. So what about in the Central? And the Giants play Cleveland this weekend. That Cleveland rotation, nothing to write home about. They just added Aaron Savali to it. I'm not sure if that's. Oh no, he went to the Brewers.
No.
He used to be with the Guardians. But Minnesota, Kelly Ober, complete game. Minnesota has some Ryan. They've got some people playing. Cleveland, Kansas City. What about that? How do you see this one?
I think it comes down to Cleveland, Minnesota. I don't think Kansas City has quite the depth. Which Junior is probably in the MVP race as long as he's attention. But Minnesota still scares me. You're right. I like the team. Over had a good game. Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan. That's legit starting rotation as long as Duran is solid in both them. But Cleveland's got the closer. Class A is probably the best closer in the American League now. He doesn't get a lot of notoriety.
Well, we're breaking up a little bit, Paul, and I know you're on the East Coast, and I know there's a lot of hot weather. Let's have Raf call you back and see if we can't get a better connection, okay?
Okay, yep.
All right, good. Raf, do that, and while you're doing that, Raf, I'll talk about what we have in baseball today and look at some of the scores that we have. We had a lot. Everybody's playing today, which is nice. Usually on July 4th, they have people with days off. Red Sox Marlins. Red Sox 6-4 over the Marlins in the middle of the 12th. The Cubs, wow, James Taillon, he's pretty good. 10-2 over the Phillies. That's the bottom of the 8th. The Padres, and they're 47-43. That's 90 games. A 3-1 top of the 8th over the Rangers. And the Padres have, as Bruce pointed out, they've got a bullpen. This Suarez is going to be an all-star for them. Padres, I tell you, have something in them. To do some damage here. Angels, Paul, you back, all right?
Yeah, look, yep.
Okay, all right, let's see if that's better. All right, let's go to the West. Seattle, and everybody chasing Seattle, probably Houston.
Yeah, Houston's coming fast. I like Seattle's pitching. I just think they're going to have to add some offense. I think that's a tight race. I think it's another situation where you got two pretty much guaranteed playoff teams there, which is interesting because it kind of leaves Texas as the odd team out. And frankly, their bullpen scares me. Scherzer was starting today for him was okay. I think Seattle, Houston go to the wire. I'm going to give Seattle the edge on their pitching.
Really? Boy, I'll tell you, they just don't. We disagree on a lot. This is good.
Good, yeah.
They don't hit. They haven't. They never hit. They just never. And Julio Rodriguez is doing nothing.
Jerry DiPoto, you can count on Jerry to come through and do something.
Luis Robert, where's he going to go? He's got to go somewhere, right?
You got to think so, yeah. And again, then at that point you start looking at farm systems. Who's got the load of prospects. In that Seattle, if they want to do it, I mean, DiPoto's aggressive. He's got some guys in that system, and they're starting to showcase a few of them. Kid Ryan Bliss is playing second base for them today. I think they're starting to show some of these kids and looking for a trade.
All right. For me, DiPoto always does something, but Houston has got the momentum now, and they've got that. Was it Hunter Brown?
Yep.
Hunter Brown
good
is
young
good.
arm. Yep.
Yeah, good for them. All right. The Phillies and the Braves, and of course the Giants Braves coming up tonight. Logan Webb and Morton there. Braves, do they have it in them to get at least a run on the Phillies?
I think they can make a run. I don't think the Phillies are going to go away, though, and I don't think the Phillies will do their part to let the Braves make a run at them, and I think that's the key to this thing. Philadelphia's built a really good bullpen, and they did something really interesting this year. The first half of the season, they've used guys like Alvarado and Strom, guys you've seen the last couple of years. They're using them a lot, but they've got a couple guys they're just starting to use a little bit more. Hoffman, just a dynamite arm out there. Actually got a couple of saves in the last week. Kerkering is another guy nobody talks about. I think they're a sleeper in the sense that they've got good young bullpen arms that they haven't used up a lot. And I think that's going to be key. And with their starting rotation, good offense, I think they can beat the Braves. Hello? Oh.
Talking baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Okay. All right, so we're back.
Good.
Good. All right, one more for you. We'll do two more quickly. Milwaukee in the Central. How do we do with that?
I mean, they're the best team right now. They've got some issues. The question is who can make a run at them. And I think the sleeper team in this is going to be a tough run to do it, is Cincinnati. Look what they did. They swept the Yankees this week in New York. They've got some great young talent. Can that all come together for a strong second half? If there's one team in that division that will get better as the year goes on, I think it's Cincinnati. And if they don't catch the Brewers, I think they make a legit run for a wild card.
Okay. All right. I'm with you on that. I agree with you. I've liked Cincinnati all the way. And they have a closer, too, and they have a little bit of bullpen. That Cruz in the bullpen is pretty good. Okay. I'm with you on that one. Dodgers, not perfect, as Bruce Jenkins says, but I'm not sure anyone can catch them, although I do like San Diego.
Yeah, I think they're fine. And I think the Giants and the Diamondbacks still can be factors. The Giants have to have healthy everybody out there starting pitching, and that's from Snow right on down. If they don't, they can't stay in it. If they do, I think they can be a factor in this thing. The Dodgers, I've been saying this for a couple of years, they're built to just run the table in the regular season. I still don't think they're built for the great run in the postseason. There's too many question marks on that pitching staff. If they're better this year, if they have everybody there, if Glasnow is key, losing Yamamoto was a big hindrance to them during the season. They can match up with, the Phillies rotation if they have everybody. But I don't think they're built for a great postseason run.
Boy, we'll see. One last thing for you. The trade deadline is coming up, and you and I will be on when we get to the end of the month again. Do you see it being active?
Yeah, but not crazy active because we started to see this a little bit since we went to the 3 wild cards, and this is a season, especially in the National League, where just about everybody is in it. So you're not going to see those cleaning house kind of trades. You mentioned the White Sox. Yes, absolutely, they're going to do it. The Rockies maybe are in that position, but how many guys do they have that are really marketable? It's going to be tough. Miami will move some guys. There could be some help there for some people, but it's going to be hard to find a lot of sellers, and that drives the price up. And, if you're on the edge as a GM, say, are we in it, are we not? You're not going to want to pay exorbitant prices. So it could be interesting. Yeah, we talk about Seattle. I think they'll be all over it. I could see, a team like Cleveland, Minnesota trying to tweak it. Neither one of them has the money to go for a big deal somewhere. They may go for rentals. Houston will probably try to make some kind of move somewhere in there. But I just have a hard time seeing the blockbuster kind of things that we've seen in recent years.
Boy, good one. Yeah, I think you're right. I think relief pitchers are going to go all over the place, and maybe this Eric Fetty and Luis Robert from Chicago. We'll see.
The White Sox have some great young arms there, but a lot of them are young, and I think they're going to keep most of them.
Yeah, they should. All right. Hey, great to have you on. Enjoy the 4th, and we'll catch up at the end of the month.
All right. Sounds good, Marty.
All right. Thanks, Paul. That is Paul White. Always has a good viewpoint on the game and, of course, what's going on within the game. All right, more coming up as I'll hold it up on the live stream. Larry Doby in Black and White, the book by Jerry Eisenberg. And we'll have part of Jerry's interview today, and then we'll play the rest on Saturday. But you're going to enjoy this, and it's a very special book about a very special man. And we'll hear Jerry Eisenberg when we come back right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Laurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
Fans, it's great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. As I said, a very special time in baseball. We always remember it, July 5th of 1947. It is the day that Larry Doby became the first African-American player in the American League. And just April 15th of 1947, everybody remembers number 42, Jackie Robinson, breaking the color line for the Brooklyn Dodgers. But just a few months later, under very trying circumstances, this young man, Larry Doby, broke the color line in the American League. Well, Jerry Eisenberg has written a book. It's Larry Doby in Black and White, the story of a baseball pioneer. And Jerry has been on with us before, and we're just thrilled to have him back. Let me tell you a little bit about Jerry and his amazing career, then we'll talk about this book. Jerry has been a sports writer and columnist at the Star-Ledger, Newark, for 54 of his 67 years in the business. He's been inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, the National Sportscasters and Sports Writers Hall of Fame, and the Sports Hall of Fame of New Jersey, and he's the only sports writer to be inducted into the New Jersey Literary Hall of Fame. Jerry has covered 50 Kentucky Derbies and is one of 2 sports columnists to have covered all 50 Super Bowls. Wow. He's married with 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and thank God he's still living and working at the Ledger, but he lives in Nevada. Jerry, nice to have you with us again. How are you?
Oh, it's great. I'm fine, and it's great to be here. It really is. And Larry was just my friend for more than 3 decades, and an amazing, amazing guy, and how he could be permitted to fall through the cracks. Jackie got into the Hall of Fame his first year of eligibility. Larry got into the Hall of Fame when he was 78, and the Veterans Committee put him there. And there's a little story behind that. I was trying to get him in for a number of years. I was going nowhere. The big thing was all the purists in baseball. You know how everybody in baseball is obsessed with numbers, and that's the whole thing. What are the numbers? What are the numbers? So one guy was arguing with me. He said he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame because he doesn't have the numbers. I said, I want you to do me a favor. Look at Babe Ruth's numbers, Ty Cobb's numbers, anybody else you choose numbers, and answer this question for me. If they had death threats every night, if their families had death threats every night, what do you think they would have hit?
No, you're right. He's a very sensitive man, very sensitive man.
Oh, yeah.
And he came in as a kid. Jackie came from UCLA, and he was in the Army and everything else, where Larry's career, which you'll tell us about, was a little different. when Effa Manley finally agreed to let him go to from the Newark Eagles to the Cleveland Indians in those days. But how did this friendship come about with Larry Doby? This is just not a research book of, hey, let me tell you.
No. I covered when they discovered dirt. I was covering baseball already, and I knew Larry because we lived in the same town at that point. We both lived in Montclair, New Jersey, and I never thought about it. But I was his off-season columnist because he would read the Star Ledger every day. I wrote a lot about social issues all the time. Well, the Indians were not very good, and the only time I would see them if they're playing the Yankees and I wanted to see somebody in the Yankees, I'd see him at the ballpark. Hi, Larry. Hi, Jerry. And that was it. Now it's December in the late 70s, and there's a blizzard. There always seemed to be a blizzard those winters, and the doorbell rings. And who the hell who's out in this thing? I walk to the door, and it's Larry Doby. And he's standing there, and he says to me, I said, what are you doing here? He said, what do you drink? I said, Larry, I'm not a model citizen, as everybody around me knows. If it's wet, I drink it. He said, okay, I'll be here at 7 tonight with a bottle of scotch. And then he walked off into the snow, a lone figure on the street. I couldn't think of what he wanted. He shows up at 7 o'clock, walks into my house with his bottle, sits down at the kitchen table. We don't get up till 10:30 in the morning.
What year is this?
It's in the late 70s.
Okay.
For him, it's before he got the managerial job with the White Sox. But for him, it was almost, this conversation was an exorcism. And for me, it was an education. He told me things that he's never told anybody before or since. And it just all poured out. And our friendship was born that day, that night and the following day. And I never had a better friend.
Boy, Jerry Eisenberg with us, Eisenberg. The book is Larry Doby in black and white, and we celebrate Larry Doby and his great accomplishment July 5th of 1947 in the Hall of Fame career. What did he say about, getting to Cleveland and the reception he got?
The first chapter of the book, after the prologue, is called Cleveland Ain't Brooklyn. That's the difference between Jackie's welcome and his welcome. Cleveland was a segregated city, segregated schools, segregated movies. You got to go to the balcony if you're black. Segregated hospitals. There was no brand. There was no welcome wagon to greet him. The manager, who is well thought of as a player, Lou Boudreau, not so much as a person, in my view, because he didn't like Larry, and I thought he really had despised him in a way. He played the game. He said the right things about him, but he wouldn't play him. That first year, he got in like 27 at bats, played one full game, and hit 157. And it looked like he might not make the team until they made him a center fielder the following year. But he came from the Newark Eagles, an all-black team. And interesting thing about the Giants here is there was a black semi-pro team in the 40s, 30s called the Patterson Smart Set. It was a social club, and they sponsored a baseball team. The second baseman on that team was Larry, in the summer when he was in high school, was Larry Doby. The shortstop was Monty Irvin. They were the double play combination for the Smart Set, and both of them wound up as major league outfielders. And the great story about why Irvin wound up as an outfielder, Abe Manley, who owned the Eagles, loved to sign players, go to sandlots, find guys who could play for the Eagles. And he didn't want to manage, he just wanted to find the talent. So he had a habit of signing guys and not telling the manager. He signed Monty Irvin out of the Smart Set. And Irvin shows up at the ballpark for his first day of practice, and the manager is a guy named Willie Wells, one of the great unknown shortstop. Black guy, died blind, without a pension, living with his daughter. Marvelous ball player. He was a playing manager. So he sees Irvin and he says, "Who are you?" Irvin says, "Well, Mr. Manley signed me." "Oh, all right. What position do you play?" "I play shortstop." He said, "Young man, listen to me. You've been grossly misinformed. You don't play shortstop, because on this team there's only one shortstop, and you're talking to him. You see all that green grass in the outfield? That's the outfield. Go find a position." And that's how he became a major league. I'll tell you, Dobie and he were so close, so close. Well, they used to share a train, spring training. First year there was no spring training for Dobie, so his first spring training was the second year, and it was a revelation. Satchel Paige hadn't joined the team. Lowry was still the only black in the league. They played games all throughout the South. Really tough times. So when the Giants hooked up with Irvin and they would take this train, around Columbus, Georgia, some town around there, the train would stop finally after playing all these exhibition games. And they'd play 3 games, and it would split. Half of it would go to New York, and the other half to Cleveland. So he's in Houston, Texas, and they're getting booed. They're getting, both of them. They were equal opportunity bigots. So he had a habit. He never said anything. He was an internalization guy, but he knew what he wanted to do, and he knew what he needed to do. And he hit the longest home run in the history of Buffalo Park, where the minor league team in Houston played. And Monty Irvin said, "I walked out there after the game, and I didn't believe any human could hit a ball that far." And in the book I said, he beamed, Larry beamed, and it was like a great metaphorical middle finger pointed at baseball's caste system.
Wow. I love listening to Jerry Eisenberg, and we've got more of this interview, and we'll play it Saturday, of course, when the Giants are in Cleveland, but special, very special. Raph, what do we have coming up now?
Well, Marty, it's the 4th of July, Marty, so we always go to Ernie Harwell and his ode to baseball.
I love it. Ernie Harwell, just to hear his voice makes July 4th special, and it's July 4th, and it's baseball. And this is Ernie Harwell. Remember, this was written and recorded by me probably 15, 20 years ago, but it was written in the 50s by the great Hall of Famer Ernie Harwell. And here's his Ode to Baseball. Hello, fans. This is Marty Lurie. Baseball has always captured the national spotlight on July the 4th. Baseball is interwoven with the summer in America and perhaps is most noticed during the July 4th doubleheaders, picnics, and then the eventual fireworks celebrations. Hall of Famer Ernie Harwell told it best when he composed his Ode to Baseball during the 50s. Sit back and enjoy the loving words of Ernie Harwell as he tells us what baseball means to us all on this July the 4th.
Well, thank you, Marty. I wrote this back in 1955, and the names of the villains and the heroes have changed since then, and a lot of other things have changed, but I really feel that the spirit of the game between the lines is pretty much the same as it was, even back that far. And here's my definition of baseball. Baseball is a president tossing out the first ball of the season, and a pudgy schoolboy playing catch with his dad on the Mississippi farm. A tall, thin old man waving a scorecard from the corner of his dugout, that's baseball. And so is a big fat guy with a bulbous nose running home one of his 714 home runs. There's a man in Mobile who remembers that Honus Wagner hit a triple in Pittsburgh 46 years ago. That's baseball. And so is a scout reporting that a 16-year-old Sandlot pitcher in Cheyenne is a coming Walter Johnson. Baseball is a spirited race of man against man, reflex against reflex, a game of inches. Every skill is measured. Every heroic, every failing is seen and cheered or booed, and then becomes a statistic. In baseball, democracy shines its clearest. The only race that matters is a race to the bag. The creed is the rule book. and color merely something to distinguish one team's uniform from another. Baseball as a rookie, his experience no bigger than the lump in his throat as he begins fulfillment of his dream. And it's a veteran, too, a tired old man of 35, hoping that those aching muscles can pull him through another sweltering August and September. Nicknames of baseball, names like Zeke and Pie and Kai and Home Run and Cracker and Dizzy and Dazzy. Baseball is the clear, cool eyes of Rogers Hornsby, the flashing spikes of a Ty Cobb and an overage pixie named Rabbit Moranville. Baseball, just a game as simple as a ball and bat, and yet as complex as the American spirit it symbolizes. It's a sport, business, and sometimes almost even religion. Why, the fairy tale of Willie Mays making a brilliant World Series catch and then dashing off to play stickball in the streets with his teenage pals, that's baseball. And so is the husky voice of a Doom Lou Gehrig saying, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Baseball is cigar smoke, hot roasted peanuts, sporting news, ladies' day, down in front. Take me out to the ball game, the seventh inning stretch, and the Star-Spangled Banner. Baseball is a man named Campanella telling the nation's business leaders, you have to be a man to be a big leaguer, but you have to have a lot of little boy in you, too. This is a game for America, this baseball, a game for boys and for men.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it's one of the nicest things I've ever heard. How did it all come about?
It came about, Marty, because I was going out when I was in Baltimore one winter. I was going out to make a speech and began to think about baseball and what it had meant to me over the years. And I had an envelope. I just had a pencil and started writing down some stuff. And it sort of evolved from that.
Ernie Harwell was inducted into the Broadcasters Wing of the Hall of Fame in 1981. The fifth person honored with his profession's highest accolade, the Ford C. Frick Award. Harwell followed legendary baseball voices Mel Allen, Red Barber, Bob Elson, and Russ Hodges into Cooperstown. Ernie Harwell, an accomplished composer as well as a baseball commentator, retired from active broadcasting after the 2002 season. He was terrific. This is Marty Lurie. Enjoy baseball. Enjoy July the 4th. They go together. See you tomorrow at the park for more memories of the game. Well, I love it, Raph. I love it. Raph, how'd you like that?
Well, it wouldn't be the 4th of July if we didn't play Ernie Harwell's Ode to Baseball. So, yeah, it was great, Marty. You know, everything you said was exactly, I mean, it could be 20 years from now, and it'd be the exact same thing.
You're right.
Yeah.
Every word is important. That was sweet. That was sweet. That's what 4th of July is for baseball. Boy, really nice. I'm glad that you do that every year and you find it. Boy, all right. Georgie Brothers Furniture in South San Francisco. Rob Georgie and the family. You can't ask for anyone better. You can trust them, non-commissioned staff, and they have the great Stressless ad going on right now. And I've got the Stressless chairs in my house. Aaron's got one. Evan's got one. Bonnie's got one. We all have one. And they're terrific. So for every $1,000 you spend, you get $100 off. There's recliners with ottomans. There's all sorts of different ways you can use the Stressless chairs. So check them out, Georgie Brothers, GIORGIBROS.com. And, of course, Rob Georgie and Tom and Michael Passer and everyone, they've been with me for so many years. And it's really, really stuff you can work with, you can trust people, and for me, you know, that's the important part of my game here is that you can trust somebody. All right, that's our show for today. Back with you Saturday at 9 a.m. And that'll be the second game before the Giants and Cleveland. We've got Webb and Morton today, and now we've got our good friend Walter Ikabalseta coming up with our Giants warm-up. Take it away, Walter. Have a great 4th, everybody. Be safe.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warm-Up.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
Ball swings, lines one over third. That's a fair ball. Matos will cut it off in front of the track. 1 run will score as Riley comes across and into second with a stand-up double. Adam Duvall. It's 1-0 Braves. Here's a drive to right. Slater moving back. He's at the warning track. It's off the wall and it caroms away. Ozuna scores. Right behind him, Olsen. Hill scores standing. And into second with a 2-out, 2-run double, Austin Riley. Swing, line drive over third. It is a fair ball. Soler scores. Chapman on his way to second, and he is in standing there. A 2-out RBI double. And Atlanta evens up the series as they beat the Giants by a final score of 3-1.
Giants fans, and welcome to this midweek edition of 4th of July edition of the Giants warm-up show. I'm your host, Walter Icardoseta, taking you all the way up to first pitch in this rubber game between the Giants and the Braves. You heard it there. A beautiful montage put together by our guy OD, Overnight Dave, of the game. It just encapsulates the game that we saw yesterday with all those runs. And there's certain guys that you just don't pitch to. I don't know if you can put Austin Riley in that category. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is in that category. Aaron Judge is definitely, after he came to San Francisco and hit all those home runs, he is in that category as well. But Austin Riley, man, has just been a thorn in the side of the Giants for this whole series. So it's going to be really interesting to see that matchup. That might be a little tease to my Diamond Notes later. The matchup between Austin Riley and Logan Webb, who takes the mound for the Giants on this beautiful, beautiful, hot 4th of July. So welcome everybody to the Giants warm-up show. We do have a good one for you. We'll be talking with my platoon partner. It's going to be the first time that we're on the Giants warm-up together at the same time. So no, I am not Carrie Crowley. We are going to be in the same room at the same time. So we are not the same person. So we're going to be talking with Carrie Crowley on the other side in about 15 minutes or so. We're going to talk about the Giants, just how they are to date and all the developments with the starting rotation as we start to get a little bit more clarity as far as who is going to be available. Sounds like Kyle Harrison, we'll talk about that later, but sounds like Kyle Harrison will be pitching in the series against the Cleveland Guardians. Looks like he will be going possibly on Saturday. That was my guess earlier this week. So we'll have to see that. And then Blake Snell pitched really well in Sacramento. Looks like he got his final tune-up for the River Cats and get ready to pitch in the homestand when the Giants return to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. But happy 4th of July, everybody. I hope everyone is staying cool. It is hot. It is a hot one here in the Bay Area. And just everyone stay safe, stay hydrated, but also enjoy this beautiful day as we celebrate the birthday of this wonderful country. So everybody stay cool. Make sure you grab a cold beverage. Greg was saying he was going to drink milk. I don't know if you want to drink milk on a hot day. That's a bad one. But we are live on YouTube and Twitch as well on KNBR, the sports leader. Go ahead and give me a call at 415-808-5627. I just want to hear your thoughts. Everyone, how are you feeling on this 4th of July? What are your plans for 4th of July? What does everyone like to do? There's been a lot of baseball going on all day long. I woke up this morning and there's a game in the 7th inning. That just tells you what time I woke up. But the Nationals and the Mets were well into their game. Started at 8:05 today. So when I woke up and ran downstairs because I was trying to get some ball on and realized it was in the 7th inning. I was like, what is going on? And that was how my morning went. But it is a warm one today. So everyone, please stay hydrated. Got my water here. So we're going to be doing this Giants warm-up show all the way up to 4:20 or 3:20 rather. And then we'll start the official pregame show to talk about the Giants. But yesterday was a interesting game to say the least. Jordan Hicks goes out there and does his thing. I mean, he does what he does. We expect from him, and he had a really good outing. It wasn't great, but he had a good outing to where prior to, you heard it there with Austin Riley doubling off of the wall in right field. He only gave up 1 run to that point with two outs, about to get out of it in the 5th inning. So that's just what you get out of Jordan Hicks. And he does have this issue with ending his outing or later into his outing to where he can't get that final out. He can't get out of it. So we'll hear from Jordan Hicks about the execution of his later innings coming up. But he pitched well enough to I wouldn't necessarily get a win, but he pitched well enough to keep this Giants team in the game. But they were met by Chris Sale. Chris Sale was just lights out yesterday, 9 Ks, and the Giants just couldn't get anything up until the 5th inning. 5th inning is when Kirk Casale can finally crack the seal on Chris Sale and finally get that first hit across. But this Giants offense has actually, surprisingly, they've been doing pretty well over the last couple of weeks, or the rather the last 10 games. They've been scoring three or more runs since the Chicago Cubs game. I believe that was on Juneteenth, on June 19th. That was the last time that they scored less than 3 runs prior to last night. So this Giants offense looks to get back on track for the Giants. I mean, they want to support. They want to go out there and get runs across for Logan Webb, their ace. He's on the mound today and trying to right the ship and get a happy flight heading over to Cleveland. So we'll get the thoughts of Jordan Hicks here, where again we were talking about, and it's going to be really interesting to see where the direction goes with Jordan Hicks as this season goes on, because every start, every inning that continues to pile up, it is a new career high, right? And now he's up at 90 and 2/3 innings, and that's a career high. And this is where we get into uncharted waters for Jordan Hicks. And you start to hear about all these guys getting healthy with Robbie Ray, and you start hearing about obviously Kyle Harrison will be coming back sooner than Robbie Ray, and then Blake Snell looks to be joining the rotation when the Giants come back home against the Toronto Blue Jays. But when you start to see this Giants team get a little bit more healthy in the rotation, are you comfortable with moving Hicks to the bullpen? Is that something that is already written on the walls? Because when you look at he hasn't gotten a win since having jotted down right here. He hasn't gotten a win. He's been winless since May 19th, 0-4 since then, and a 5.01 ERA. Now, I think that Jordan Hicks is pitching a lot better than that would suggest with those numbers. And again, he is giving this Giants team. There was a blow up earlier within that span where he got knocked around pretty good, but 2, 3 runs, that shouldn't be the end all be all for the Giants team. And yesterday was just a example of what happens when your starter isn't lights out and when the offense can't put across runs. I mean, Matt Chapman, again, one of those guys that is continuing to be hot for this Giants offense. You have Jorge Soler. That was pretty much their offense yesterday. 2 doubles that would end up putting across 1 run, but that was all that they would get against the Braves. The Braves have good pitching, good starters, and they have another good starter going today, Charlie Morton. So it's going to be another tough battle for the Giants offense. But when you have a guy like Logan Webb out there today, you got a shot, you got a chance. But when you look at Jordan Hicks, it's just a matter of time, in my opinion, until he is a bullpen arm. But he is pitching good ball. He is pitching good ball. It's just that one instance. It's that one instance that gets him at the end of his outings. And this is what he had to say yesterday post game on his late innings execution.
It's just been about 2-out execution the past 2 games. I think I'm doing 6 runs on 2-out rallies. So those later innings, I just need to find a way to bear down. Get that 3rd out after 2 quick ones. So I think that's the biggest thing. But yeah, they were able to get some pitches. I didn't get the one to Olsen up. I'd gotten him with the four seam all day up in the zone and just bottom of the zone. So just my execution needs to be better.
Yeah, execution needs to be better when you get later into the game, especially when you're going through the heart of the lineup like he did with Austin Riley yesterday, getting that 2-run double that would eventually end the outing for Jordan Hicks. He did go 5 innings, 8 hits over the 5 innings, and he gave up the 3 runs. But Jordan Hicks, you know, he knows, he's aware of it, and it's a bizarre number that you throw out there that he gave up the 6 runs on 2-out rallies in his last 2 outings, and he talked more about that post game last night.
I mean, it just seems like, I don't know, just being conscious that I've given up those runs with 2-out rallies and just finding a way to bear down and get them. I don't think there's anything with my stuff. It's more just being aware that this is when it's happening. So obviously it's something with my focus I need to lock in better, or I need to make some better quality pitches when I know the game's on the line with 2 outs and just got 2 quick ones. So instead of maybe like backing off, just stay on the gas.
Yeah, so that's Jordan Hicks reflecting on his outing last night, and you know, for the foreseeable future, because I mean, we're talking about him going into the bullpen. I'm not saying that that's going to happen right now, or that needs to happen right now. The Giants actually need him to perform and go 5 innings. 5 innings sounds pretty nice right now when you look at how the Giants have been going through games over the last 2-3 weeks when they've had injuries with their starting rotation. So 5 innings sounds beautiful right now for Jordan Hicks and the Giants. So as long as he can just tighten it up at the back end of his starts, again, you only give up 1 run to that point, then Austin Riley comes up and spoils a solid outing for Jordan Hicks in that one. But again, Jordan Hicks wasn't the issue. It was the offense yesterday. The offense couldn't get anything going against Chris Sale, and that's nothing really to go against the offense. I mean, everybody struck out. I think there was only 2 guys. If I look up the box score here, I think there was only 2 guys that didn't strike out yesterday. And Chris Sale was just phenomenal. I mean, that was kind of a turn back the clock game for Chris Sale. I mean, it looked like his dominance in the early 2010s, you know what I mean? So when you look at that, look, everybody struck out in the Giants lineup other than Austin Slater. Everybody's favorite Giant, Austin Slater. He did not strike out. Michael Conforto did not strike out, obviously, in his pinch hit appearance. But outside of that, everybody else did. Jorge Soler struck out twice. Ramos struck out once. Chapman struck out one. I mean, you just keep going down. Nick Ahmed twice, Casali twice. That's just what the Giants had to go up against yesterday with Chris Sale. That they ran into a guy, he had 9 Ks and just pitched phenomenal baseball. And that's just one where you're the opposing team and you go in there and you tip your cap. You tip your cap to the opposing pitcher. I mean, he went 6 innings strong, only allowed 3 hits. That first hit didn't come until the 5th inning against Kirk Casali. Only gave up the 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 9 Ks. And Chris Sale is having a phenomenal season. So it's really interesting to see how the Giants will bounce back. And when you look at that lineup yesterday, it wasn't, people have their opinions on the Giants lineup. I wouldn't say that yesterday was their best lineup. Their best lineups are when they go against righties, right? Because then you can have Jorge Soler, which is an interesting situation when you have Jorge Soler hitting leadoff. Now, I don't know if that is going to be the position. We'll talk with Carrie Crowley about that coming up, but I don't know if that's going to be the position for Jorge Soler moving forward, or where that's going to be his final resting place in this Giants lineup for Jorge Soler. But he's doing a pretty damn good job at hitting leadoff. Obviously, when he leads off innings, he's hitting like 300. I think it's 325 was his batting average when he's hitting leading off an inning. But hitting in that first spot in the lineup, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job of it right now. So Jorge Soler was in the lineup yesterday, but now when you have the righty, you can put in Lamont Wade Jr. and we have the lineup for you coming up. But This is a lot better lineup. I guess when you look at it, it looks a lot better than what yesterday did. But I'll run through it here really quickly. But before we get to the lineup, Bob Melvin was talking about the outing for Jordan Hicks, and again, I don't think that he had a bad outing. It wasn't a great outing. It was a good outing. It was decent. It was well enough to keep the Giants in the game. So Bob Melvin reflected on Jordan Hicks' performance last night post-game.
Got out of some traffic, especially the first time with only a run. And then, obviously they had a good approach for winning that inning, shooting them the other way. We get the throw out at home plate that was big. Look, when you give up 3 runs and you only get 4 hits and score 1, it doesn't look great, but it's not like you pitched, poorly.
Yeah, no, he didn't pitch poorly by any definition. Again, that last out in the 5th inning, he had 2 outs in the 5th inning, and Austin Riley just came in and he delivered for his team. And that's what you have your superstars, your star players. That's what they're in there to do. They're in there to compete, and they're in there to deliver. And in that instance, Austin Riley came out on top. So the Giants are looking to get a win, their first series win, I think, since 2018 in Atlanta. So they're going to turn to their ace, to the potential all-star. We'll talk about that a little later, and we'll get out to the calls. How are you feeling about the Giants in Atlanta? Because this was a huge stretch for the Giants. Opening last week with the Cubs coming to town for 4. Then they had the Dodgers. They have weathered the storm. They've done all that without a starting rotation. Then the rotation is coming back as soon as this weekend. The Giants can only get better from this moment, if you ask me. But let's go out to the phone lines really quick. Again, 415-808 KNBR. That's 415-808-5627. Always take your calls here on the Giants warm-up show. We'll get to this call here and continue to call in and text in. But let's go out to Mike in San Francisco. This is my guy Mike from the YouTube chat. What's up, Mike? How you doing today?
Happy 4th of July, Walter. I'm doing great.
Happy 4th, man. How you feeling about this Giants offense, Giants lineup?
Okay, I think we can win or lose, and it doesn't matter. No matter what lineup we throw out there. But, I pay real close attention to the team like we all do, and I was just thinking getting one more bat in the lineup on days would help immensely. And I'll tell you why. April and May, we started off the season with primarily defense out there, and it didn't work flat out. Our record was terrible. We were scoring 1 run a game, something like that, 2 runs a game. It was hard to watch. But if we could get just 1 extra bat in the lineup every day, our offense might be the worst team at scoring runs from the 1st through 6th inning right now. And they're the best at scoring runs through 7 through 9. So to get a little bit more balance, like on a day like today, I understand Matos is out of the lineup because of fouling the ball off his leg and making that brilliant play out there that obviously hurt. But if you play Tyler Fitzgerald at second base and move Brett Wisely over to shortstop, you got an extra bat in the lineup. What are your thoughts on that? And thanks for taking the call. Hope you have a great day.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for the call, man. Have a good 4th. And yeah, I mean, I would agree in that this Giants offense, we knew this coming in, that this Giants team, and that's why, when I was having my shows during the offseason, during spring training, when we were talking about this Giants offense, we knew that this Giants offense wasn't going to be competing with the likes of the Yankees, with the likes of the Dodgers, with the likes of the Braves. I know the Braves are actually having offensive woes right now. They're not too consistent. They look like they're coming out of it a little bit. Shocker against the Giants. But when you look at this Giants offense, we knew that this wasn't going to be a team that would continually put up 5, 6, 7 runs. That wasn't going to be this offense. Now, that what Mike said there in adding another bat, I don't know if he was referring to, mixing in and substituting defense for Pop. And I mean, look around, where is that going to come from this current roster, where the Giants are going to, and that's why this stretch of games was crucial for the Giants. It could have defined their season to where they could have fallen out a little further. So the fact that they're playing decent ball right now, and they have the gravitational pull of 500, and they're trying to get back to it at not 100%. So that's a area to watch for, definitely, when the Giants do get healthy, and most of the health is coming from the starting pitching. But going back to what I was talking about earlier, was in spring training, we knew what this team was going to be. Was a team that had to be timely hitting, put across enough runs, and have stellar starting pitching. That has not happened yet. So when these guys start to come back, and when this rotation does finally slot into place, hopefully we are able to see what this Giants team can be. I think that it's just scratching the surface right now. The offense has been better this last couple of weeks. But again, this isn't a team that is going to put up 5, 6, 7 runs on a daily basis. That just isn't what this team is. But they are a team that are going to grind out games, grind out at bats, and get into the pitch count of the opposing pitcher, get into some bullpens, because as we see across all of baseball, there's not really stellar bullpens out there when you look all across the league. So when you get the starter out of there, and you start to eat into teams' bullpens, that's where this team, and that's why they've been able to execute in the 7, 8, and 9 innings and score runs later in the game. So we'll continue this conversation on the other side. Go ahead and give me a call, 415-808-5627. That's 415-808-KNBR. Give me your thoughts on the Giants offense. Do they need a bat? Because Mike brought up something that is kind of piquing my interest, in that how do the Giants, because they have weathered this storm and going into the All-Star break and coming out of that, they have 10 games against the Colorado Rockies. They can really separate themselves from the pack, and they can solidify themselves as buyers. Who do you want for the Giants offensively? I know everyone's been talking about Bo Bichette. Is it Vlad Jr. at first base? I mean, that is something that when the Giants come back, when you look at the potential ads, I mean, this guy is an all-star, and he's having a great year so far. And as you can see right here, I have, if you're watching on YouTube, I have the Vlad Jr. Bobblehead right here. So I'm trying to manifest for the Giants to get some pop in this lineup. But we will get to your calls on the other side. Continue to shoot me your calls, 415-808-5627. We will talk about it. What do you want this Giants team to add coming close to the deadline? But coming up next, we will be talking with my platoon partner, because Giants, we all love platoons. We're going to talk with my platoon partner on the Giants warm-up. You hear him all the time on Sports Phone KNBR during the week. Carrie Crowley coming up. We're going to talk some Giants baseball. On the other side, you're listening to KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Our KNBR Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the Sports Leader.
Walter, first off, quite the introduction. Thank you so much for having me. And it does feel like a platoon system. Like, Mike Yastrzemski and Austin Slater never get to play the outfield together. They're never on the field at the same time. That's like you and me. Never on the air together, but always on the same team. So I really appreciate this opportunity, and looking forward to finally talking some Giants baseball with you, my friend.
Yeah, man, it's been a while since we've talked some ball. I think we did some on Sports Phone early on in the season. I don't remember if it was during season or if it was spring training, but really love to talk ball with you as always, Carrie. So thank you for the time, man. And it's 4th of July week, and it's the signal for teams to kind of buckle down and decide whether they're buyers or sellers. So a lot of pressure from that rides on this next 3-week stretch for the Giants and just for all of baseball. We have to find out who's going to be buyers, who's going to be sellers. But, as we get to this point of the season, Carrie, how would you evaluate the Giants to this point?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I don't think that anyone would say that the Giants have played great baseball thus far. And I know that things will change over the next few days, but what I kind of want to emphasize here is, if they were 3 games better, if they were 3 games worse, it still wouldn't match where our expectations were for the beginning of the season, because after Farhan Zaidi went out and really added to this payroll, spent money on Jung-Hoo Lee, Blake Snell, Jordan Hicks, Jorge Soler, Matt Chapman, we all anticipated the Giants would look quite different than they did a year ago. And I think the big challenge for me, Walter, was up until about May 15th, the Giants just played the same brand of baseball that they played last year. Sure, they changed the players. Sure, they changed the manager from Gabe Kapler to Bob Melvin, but it just looked extremely similar to what you saw at the end of last season, and what you saw was a boring product. And that simply isn't going to work at Oracle Park. And really what we've seen, I think, over the last month, even though the Giants did go on a 6-game losing streak during this stretch where they looked terrible at home against the Yankees, I think you've seen a team that's looked much more inspired. I think that we've seen a team that has proven that it can come back in games. It started to prove that on that road trip to Pittsburgh and New York and Queens against the Mets. And right now, after taking a series against the Dodgers at home, after the work the Giants did against the Cubs last week, I believe in this team's ability to get to the playoffs. I believe in their ability to be a second-half team. And I know that you asked me about what they've been to date, and I'll say this. I don't think that they've been the best version of themselves yet, and I still think that there are better days to come for this ball club.
Yeah, for sure. And you said it perfectly there, Carrie, was early on in this season, like we're talking about May and even parts of June, you were kind of looking at the same product that we've seen last year with the Kapler-led Giants. And, I kind of just – mess around with Murph of the morning show. I was just like, yeah, it's the same card, new paint. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very interesting to see now that the dynamic for this team is kind of shifting a little bit. And I gotta say that I think that it has to come with the swagger, the energy of a lot of these young guys that are contributing now to this team, and a lot of that has come with the just injury bug that this team has been hit with, in particular to the outfield. So Elliot Ramos, Luis Matos, these guys are coming, and I think that it's a coming out party for Elliot Ramos, to where a lot of people in Giants land and even across the country, they're saying that Ramos could and should possibly be the Giants representative for the All-Star game for the Midsummer Classic this year.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about because back in March 10th or 11th is when the Giants made their first cuts of spring training, Walter, and Elliot Ramos was 8th or 9th on the 40-man roster depth chart in terms of the outfield. I mean, he was really one or two roster moves away from being DFA'd or traded for a minor leaguer. He was on his way out of this Giants system, and that's not to say that this front office didn't value Elliot Ramos properly, although I don't think that it did. I just think that, he had not proven to that point in his career that he could be a reliable major league hitter, and all he needed was the opportunity that he got at the beginning of this season when you have Michael Conforto go down, Austin Slater go down, you have a number of players on the 40-man roster who aren't available, like Wade Meckler, who've been dealing with an injury, Luis Matos wasn't lighting it up at AAA Sacramento. Elliot Ramos comes up, and he never relinquishes the role. He absolutely seizes the opportunity, and nearly 200 bats into his first full big league season. I think we can call it a full big league season, even though he didn't start the year on the opening day roster. He's just solidified himself as the most fun Giants player to watch on a nightly basis. And I think that that's the cool part is you always want fun people to be on the team that you watch on a daily basis. But Elliot Ramos came through this farm system. He's someone who Giants fans have known since he was a 17-year-old first-round draft pick way back in 2017. And to see him flourish, it's meaningful for the diehards, but it's also meaningful for the casual fans who just want someone who they know is going to be out there every single day in center field. And so far, there's no reason to believe that Elliot Ramos is going to cool off.
Yeah, and even when you hear Bob Melvin talk about Elliot Ramos, he was jokingly saying, yeah, he's going to play every single day for the rest of the season. So you love to see the youth movement come in full effect. And yeah, it took some time for Elliot Ramos to kind of spread his wings and morph into that butterfly that we're seeing him in center field now. But when you look at just the energy level and everyone wants to make comps and take it back to the World Series teams, I would just say just watching him out there having fun, making catches. I know it might be a little bit of a stretch, but just the fun energy that he has that is contagious. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Pablo Sandoval.
Yeah, that's a great comparison because it's not the exact same feeling that you got with Pablo Sandoval where he was just this ultimate character out there, but it is the same kind of fun in that, he hits the ball gap to gap. He runs the bases. He does an exciting thing in the field. And remember when Pablo got called up in 2008, he was catching, he was playing third base. He was kind of all over the diamond at that point. And so he was doing something fun that made you want to watch Giants baseball on a daily basis. And I think that's the difference with Elliot Ramos compared to some of the other prospects who've come through this farm system over the last decade or so is he is someone who you want to see play on a daily basis because he could do it in the field. He could sometimes do it on the base pass, although there have been mistakes there, but he can do it at the plate as well. And when you don't know where the heroics are coming from, but you do know that generally he's going to make a meaningful or a special play in a ball game, those are the type of players that you want to tune in and watch.
We're talking with Carrie Crowley here, talking some Giants baseball, and we've been talking a lot about the offense. And you mentioned earlier just the offseason spending, and I kind of want to get into that now, Carrie. Matt Chapman is starting to turn it around, and he's starting to be the force in the lineup that the Giants were hoping that he could potentially be, but more to focus on the kind of miss, I guess. To this point, and he's turning it around recently, but Jorge Soler, I mean, he has not been the prototypical power bat that the Giants had hoped that they were signing this offseason. Now he's starting to put together strong at-bats of late, and maybe he's coming out of it, and it's really interesting that now he's starting to hit in the leadoff spot. So just my question to you, I mean, what do you see out of Jorge Soler to this point, and is the leadoff spot the position that we can expect to see him in moving forward throughout this season?
Well, I'll say this. I don't want to see Jorge Soler hit leadoff throughout the rest of the regular season because you know how much damage he can do when he gets hot. But the problem for the Giants is, like, Jorge Soler has clearly been at his best and his most comfortable in the order when he's been hitting leadoff, and he's still found a way to do damage. I mean, you go back to Tuesday night against Ronaldo Lopez, a guy who he's just scorched over the course of his career, and he homered off of an inside fastball that just took incredible hand-eye coordination to get the barrel to, and he does it out of leadoff leadoff spot. He's clearly very comfortable right there for this Giants team. Lamont Wade Jr. loves to hit second, and when you've got Elliot Ramos hitting third, providing thump in the order, that works. You know, it wouldn't be my preference to go 1, 2, 3 that way with Soler and then Wade and then Ramos, but it's right, left, right, and it works for the Giants. So I think that Bob Melvin will at some point, if Soler continues to stay on a positive and an upward trajectory, try to work him back into the middle of the order. Maybe it's third, maybe it's fourth or fifth, but I do think the Giants would benefit from having Soler further down in the lineup. But for now, you kind of have to ride this out until they're fully back in the wild card mix, until they're back up over 500 and where they should be. And I do think that they will get to that point. Maybe it's coming out of the All-Star break when they play the Rockies 7 times in 10 games, but I think that the Giants will get above 500. They will make things interesting, and then it's, can they add on and be the best version of themselves? And I think the best version of the Giants, Walter, is with Jorge Soler doing damage from the middle of this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he was brought in to be, right? He was brought in to be that thump in the 5 and the 4, possibly the 6. I mean, depending on how deep this lineup can be. And with Elliot Ramos and Matt Chapman contributing offensively, I mean, you can kind of move them around and have that luxury. Maybe hit them 6, or maybe hit them 5th, to where the table setters are able to get on base and yeah, like you mentioned, to add damage. We're talking here with Carrie Crowley, and you know, Carrie, we've been talking a lot about the offense. I kind of want to shift gears here and talk about the pitching, right? The pitching, the bullpen has been overly used to this point, and I think it's out of necessity, right? It wasn't by design, and that's because the Giants' pitching rotation has just been obliterated by injury to this point, with Kyle Harrison hopefully coming back here at the end of this road trip, and Blake Snell, it sounds like he's eyeing a return at the start of the next homestand against the Blue Jays. But when you look at this rotation, Carrie, and I mentioned some guys there with Harrison and Blake Snell, and you can also throw in Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb. They're coming back. They have reinforcements coming for the rotation. But do you believe that this team can do some damage down the stretch if this rotation can reach its full potential that the Giants envisioned in the offseason?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, Walter, and I think it's kind of the defining question of the second half of the season for the Giants, because I don't think that they get to their full potential without getting Blake Snell and Robbie Ray back throwing every 5th day. I just don't see the current situation with the bullpen being as overtaxed as you mentioned as tenable for this ball club. I think that a club that overuses its bullpen in April, May, and June tends to fall apart in July, August, and September. And now the Giants think that they've got reinforcements coming back, and Blake Snell and Kyle Harrison and Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray, throw all these guys into the mix. Now the question for me is, how many innings can they realistically give the Giants over the first few weeks that they're back? Because are you going to get 5 or 6 out of Robbie Ray, who has often struggled to get to that point in his major league career? Is Blake Snell going to give you quality starts, something he has not shown that he can do at all in a Giants uniform? What's Alex Cobb look like without throwing any innings this season at the age of 37? These are all big questions individually, and collectively, it just means the rotation is one giant question mark right now. And so if they're able to get 5-6 innings a game from that group, I think that's tremendous. Then I do think the Giants will be a playoff team. Then I do think the Giants could do some damage. If you're getting more 3 or 4 and you have to extend Jordan Hicks more than you wanted to, and you're relying on Birdsong, who, by the way, I really like, but I don't know if he's going to be able to go a full season at the major league level now that he's been called up. It's very interesting to me to think about how these individual questions form the bigger picture question is, can the Giants realistically expect their rotation to round into a form that gets them to where they need to be? And that's going to be the defining question of the second half for this club.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at this, because coming into the season, I think that a lot of Giants fans and people that would look at this club, I think that everyone thought that the Giants rotation would be a lot stronger than it's shown, and a lot of that has to do with injury and Blake Snell not performing to the expectation level. So we'll have to see what ends up happening with Blake Snell returning and with Kyle Harrison coming back. And as you mentioned, I mean, the big question, and love what Jordan Hicks has done to this point. He's starting to get a little knocked around a little bit here after after reaching his career high in innings pitched in a season. So maybe the fatigue factor is starting to settle in. But, is he going to be part of this rotation when we get into August and September? Is it going to be a Birdsong that they're going to have to rely on for that fifth starter until Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb comes back? I mean, there's a lot of question marks for this rotation, to where if you're a team that's wanting to be competitive and wanting to get into the postseason, it's not questions that you want to have, but you want to have them answered sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and the difference with the Giants from some of these other teams in the murky middle of the National League is I think that these are questions that are fair to ask about veteran players for the most part. And Blake Snell and Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb and even Jordan Hicks, I do think that they dial him back and he becomes a reliever for the second half of the season. I kind of think that's inevitable if they get to full health in this rotation. The other teams in this mix, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Chicago Cubs, they all have kind of worse questions about their individual rosters. Some of these teams have bullpens that just aren't up to the standard that you need to win in October or really get you to October. Some of them have questions in their rotation where they're relying on guys coming up from AAA who don't necessarily have the pedigree that Hayden Birdsong has at the minor league level. And so I think that the Giants, their questions are a little easier to answer, or at least forecast answers for, than some of the other teams that are competing for a playoff spot right now. Although I do kind of like the Cardinals. I think that they have enough veteran talent. And if there's one team that I could see finishing ahead of the Giants for that third wild card slot, assuming San Diego stays ahead, and that's a big if right now, it is St. Louis. And so we'll see if the Giants can rise up to the occasion, match the Cardinals down the stretch, because that could be a very interesting final series at Oracle Park this year.
Yeah, and if Brandon Crawford's on that team, that's going to be incredible, man. That is prime time theater for the Giants and the Cardinals. Carrie, as we wrap up here, I'll let you go, but I do want to kind of get your thoughts on the Giants approaching the deadline, and this was a huge stretch of games looking back to when they went to Wrigley and they had the Rick Wood game, and then they had 4 with the Cubs and the Dodgers, and then now you go to Atlanta and the road trip with ending in Cleveland, and then they come back and then we get to the All-Star break. It's a critical point of the season for the Giants, to where, especially with all of the TBDs, and I'm glad that we're not seeing TBDs anymore. I don't want to see another TBD for the rest of the season, Carrie. But when you look at this Giants team going into the deadline, this was a critical point of the season, and they are riding the wave in a positive way. So, assuming that they are going to be buyers, and it'll be telling for this next couple of weeks if they are going to be heavy players and buy. But what do you think that the Giants really need? I'm looking at this series with the Toronto Blue Jays coming in. I'm looking at 2 guys, and Vlad Jr. and potentially Bo Bichette as adds. But I don't know if the Giants have the capital to make that type of move. But what kind of moves are you looking at for the Giants in improving? Is it only a bat? Are they going to look for some external pitching, whether that be in the bullpen or in the starting rotation to help it out with the innings? I mean, what situation are you looking at?
Yeah, I think that shortstop's the natural place to look, because you don't get the sense that Nick Ahmed is going to be there for all 162, although I kind of do like the pairing of Brett Wisely at short and Tyro Estrada at second. I think that Brett Wisely has kind of proven himself as someone who can handle that position adequately. And if you leave Ahmed in, as a defensive replacement on the roster as a backup, that's kind of fine with me. So I'm okay there, especially because Bichette, he's got a negative WAR this year. He's got an OPS of 610. He's just fallen off the map offensively, and maybe he needs a change of scenery. But I mean, that kind of is brutal for his 2024 outlook, and I don't know that the Giants can afford to give up like a Marco Luciano or a Carson Wisenhunt in that kind of a trade right now. The one guy who I'm really eyeing is Tanner Scott of the Miami Marlins right now. He's having an all-star caliber season. I think that even teams with good bullpens and even teams with settled late inning situations benefit from having additions at the middle of the season, because it lessens the load on a Ryan Walker or a Tyler Rogers in the late innings. I think that one more reliable lefty would give the Giants the opportunity to, hey, maybe you send Eric Miller back to AAA for a 15-day stretch just so that you can get him fresh again. Like, he only throws 3 times in that 15-day stretch because you're going to need his arm late in the year. Maybe send Randy Rodriguez back to AAA for a 15-game stretch. And again, it's less about, penalizing them for their performance, because I think it's been good enough to stay at the major league level. I think it's more about getting 1 or 2 arms in that bullpen, and I do think Jordan Hicks will be one of those arms because they're adding to this rotation. And then adding one from the outside into Tanner Scott, and then figuring out how you can balance the workload a little better. I think that's going to be a big key to unlocking this Giants team in the second half. So I'm in favor of adding to this bullpen, even if it looks crowded right now, Walter. You can never have too many arms. Just ask Bruce Bochy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That is the formula that we all know and love. Carrie Crowley, thank you so much, man, for stopping by the show. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk soon, man. I love talking ball with you. We have to do this again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Door is wide open on Sports Phone moving forward, Walter. So let's do it again very, very soon.
All right, and that was Carrie Crowley. Just want to thank Carrie for stopping by and talking some Giants baseball there. We were talking a lot about this Giants rotation and a lot of question marks. The only question that we don't have is when Logan Webb is on the mound. So we will continue to talk about the Giants' 4th of July extravaganza in Atlanta. Almost said Los Angeles. In Atlanta, Logan Webb is on the mound versus Charlie Morton. We will break down Logan Webb on the other side. And I posed a question earlier. Is Logan Webb your Giants all-star? This start can potentially gear him towards that. But 808 KNBR is the number. That's 415-808-5627. Are you going with Logan Webb as your all-star representative? And do the Giants have more than one? We'll talk about that on the other side. You're listening to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Welcome back to our KNBR Giants warm-up on the Sports Leader.
Logan Webb against the Dodgers tonight. His two-strike pitch is just on the outside corner, called strike three. Ohtani didn't think so, but Jimenez punches him out, one away. That was a pitcher-friendly strike. It was away from the target, but it might well have clipped the outside corner. So even though Patrick Bailey had to move the glove a long way across the plate, Jimenez called it a strike.
Welcome back to the Giants warm-up show. And Kyle, love the song selection. Got some Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA for sure on this 4th of July day here. It's a beautiful day. Hope everybody is staying hydrated. Drink that water, and especially if you're drinking alcohol, you gotta balance the water alcohol consumption. So everyone, Giants and the Braves, they will be starting off this game here. First pitch at 4:20. You got Logan Webb on the mound, where you hear him there dealing against the Dodgers. That was the last time that he was out and pitched well. He didn't get the win in that one, but that was the comeback heroics of Brett Wisely. So maybe we get some of that in the 8th spot today with the Giants. Who knows? But Logan Webb has just been the epitome of what consistency is for the San Francisco Giants team. When you look at this roster for 2024, and I posed the question: is he your all-star? Is he the Giants representative for the All-Star game for the Midsummer Classic? I was talking to some guys in the YouTube chat. Again, we are live on YouTube and Twitch at KNBR, so go ahead and head over there. The conversation is burning right now. But I was asking them, I was like, hey, who is your Giants All-Star? And Mike, who called earlier, Mike is just on the phone and in the YouTube chat. Love the interaction with Mike. He's all over it, man. But he dropped in there. He dropped like a list of 5. I'm trying to find it right now. But he did have Logan Webb as number 1. I'm trying to find it. Logan Webb is number 1. I believe he had Elliot Ramos in there as number 2. He had Camilo Doval listed in there, and then Tyler Walker, or Tyler Rogers and Ryan Walker, Tyler Walker. But yeah, how many All-Stars do you get? And is Logan Webb your representative for the Giants All-Star game? And Logan Webb is on the mound today for your San Francisco Giants, trying to get a happy flight to Cleveland, where that is going to be a critical series for the Giants. It's going to be a tough one. I'll tell you that right now. Kyle Harrison should be back in that series. Sounds like it might be Saturday. We will get to that coming up on the other side, but we will take your calls. 415-808-5627. That's 415-808-KNBR is the number. Who is your Giants representative for the Midsummer Classic? And we got Dave in Stanford wants to talk about his Giants All-Star representative. So welcome, Dave, to the Giants warm-up show. What do you got, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me. 100% sure Webb and Ramos. I would have said our third pick, All Duvall, is third. But I would have said right in there would be Chapman, but he's made too many errors. The hitting I can go with, but not when he's getting the ball on the mitt, and so I'm not going to put him down. He could have been, let's put it that way. But right now, my big feeling is with the pitching staff. I'm loving it. Birdsong and Bevan, and then you got Harrison, and you got everybody coming back. Snell, Robbie Ray. So I'm liking the whole Cobb, the whole pitching staff, and then all the bullpen. The bullpen just needs a rest because they're getting hit up way too hard. So yeah, no, I'm just saying that's they're coming along, and I think they got a good chance if they hang in there. Yeah, thank you.
So Dave, you're saying that the Giants have 2 for sure, and then maybe a fringe third if the rosters all come out, and maybe they can get someone else in there.
I'm saying Webb and Webb for sure, and Ramos for sure. Duvall, I think should be in there, and I would have mentioned Chapman, but he's not up to snuff this year. So yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for the call, Dave. Really appreciate it, man. And call back anytime. We'll continue that Giants conversation as we continue along. But yeah, so Dave goes with Logan Webb, and it's hard to argue. I mean, when you look at Logan Webb's numbers for the season, I mean, he is pitching pretty well. Now, is it all-star caliber though? That's my only question. I love Logan Webb. I love what he was doing. Is he deserving? I think he is deserving for being the like the MVP for the Giants. But do the numbers suggest that he is an all-star? He is 6-6 record. Now, does that factor into what an all-star should be? He's also his ERA on the season is a 3.12 ERA, 97 K. So he'll be up over 100 after this start today, and maybe he can drop down that ERA to a sub 3. But you know, Logan Webb, where he does excel is, I don't know if it's necessarily categories that earn all-star recommendation with innings pitched. I mean, this guy, there's no question that he is the all-star of this Giants staff. But when you look at it with innings pitched and ground ball rate, I mean, he's fantastic. The changeup is just devastating numbers against that. So it's a conversation. I personally would probably put in Elliot Ramos as my number one all-star, but we've had variations of what the Giants all-star situation could possibly be. Rocket New Era said that they have at the most 3. So again, a lot of people going Logan Webb, Elliot Ramos, and potentially someone else. I mean, someone that people aren't really giving too much credit. I wouldn't necessarily put Camilo Duvall in the all-star conversation. He has had a rough season this year. Hasn't been nearly as lights out. Has a 4.28 ERA. But I would look elsewhere in the bullpen where you look at Ryan Walker and possibly Tyler Rogers. Are they all-stars worthy when you look at this Giants team? But Logan Webb, he is on the mound today. We will talk about that on the other side. We're going to take a quick break and give you an injury update. We've been talking about it all day. Kyle Harrison coming back. When is everyone else slated to come back, and where are they in their rehab process? We have information. We'll get that on the other side. You're listening to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR, the sports leader.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
We're getting you in the mood for a crazy crab sandwich, some garlic fries, a cha-cha bowl, and some orange and black baseball. KNBR's Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show as we get you ready for the Giants and the Braves, the rubber match. Charlie Morton on the mound for the Braves, and your guy, potential all-star, that we're having this discussion in the YouTube chat. It seems like there's civil war over Logan Webb or Elliot Ramos. So 808 KNBR is the number. Logan Webb is on the mound today for the San Francisco Giants as they try to get a happy flight into Cleveland, and Logan Webb has just been nothing shy of consistent over his last starts. He has gone 6 innings or more in his last 10 starts. I think I said 7 starts, but 10 starts. In his last 10 starts, he has gone 6 innings or more. So I would look for him to continue to do that. And he has pitched well, actually, in Atlanta, where he is 2-0 with a 2.08 ERA, 6 earned runs in 26 innings pitched in that ballpark, 25 strikeouts, just 3 walks. So Logan Webb looked to continue his dominance in the ATL. But Logan Webb, again, he has been the consistent part of the San Francisco Giants rotation. But that's about it. I mean, he is the rotation for the San Francisco Giants, but we do have updates as far as the injury report because they are banged up at the rotation spot. Almost every spot in the rotation is battling some type of injury, but we do have update. Kyle Harrison, not sure if it's confirmed yet, but the plan is that Kyle Harrison, he did pitch a light bullpen earlier this week on Tuesday, I believe. He pitched a light bullpen at Truist Park, putting him on track to return to the Giants rotation during their series against Cleveland. Now, is that going to be tomorrow? Is that going to be Saturday? I would lean more towards Saturday, but we'll have to see when Kyle Harrison can slot in. But he is going to be on this Giants road trip. He will be starting at some point. So you either look to tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday. If I'm a betting man, and I am a betting man, I will go with Saturday to get the start, unless I don't know if it's been confirmed elsewhere. I haven't been active on Twitter. So Kyle, if you see anything on that, go ahead and let me know on Kyle Harrison. But Blake Snell, that's been another guy that has been coming back from rehab, and he has been needing a couple of extra starts, more starts that the Giants had hoped, but maybe his latest outing is an indicator of what he can be when he does finally return to this Giants rotation. And I have been a believer in Blake Snell from the beginning, even with the bad starts. And I mean, his ERA is above 9. I mean, it hasn't been good. It hasn't been a good start for Blake Snell, but he is battling back. He is coming back. And then if yesterday was any indication as to what Blake Snell can do on a major league mound, I mean, yeah, I'm all for it. He went 5 innings yesterday in his what is expected to be his last rehab start for the Sacramento River Cats. He went 5 innings, didn't allow a hit, and had 9 Ks. So Bob Melvin said that Blake Snell is tentatively penciled in to return to the Giants rotation for their first home game after the upcoming road trip, which falls on July 9th. That'll be Tuesday against the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, Kyle told me to go to my Twitter here, and yeah, no, that's pretty much what I just said. Bags confirmed. Blake Snell. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. But Blake Snell will be starting next week. They won't have to move up Logan Webb to get 2 starts out of him on the homestand. And what that means is Webb won't start Sunday prior to the break, which means he will be an all-star. He will be an all-star like last year. Last year he pitched on that Sunday. Once you pitch on that Sunday, you are ineligible to be in the all-star game. So maybe he is the all-star, but again, I go number 1 Elliot Ramos is my all-star, and number 2 is Logan Webb. And yeah, love to see the Civil War going on in the YouTube chat as everyone is discussing, having a nice discussion. And Mike just confirmed in the YouTube chat, I'll have to hit up my guy Lasky and also tune into Lasky every post-game show. I'm not sure who he has on today. That might be something that Kyle can look up for me, and I can announce to the audience. But Bill Lasky is on post game every weekend. I believe he's going to be on. Post game today. So he has Alex Simon live, is what Kyle is telling me in my ear. But Mike, while we were talking about Lasky, said that Harrison Friday from Bill Lasky. So that's good. I mean, one of these 3 games in Cleveland is fine with me. If it's not Saturday, if it's Friday, that is fine with me. And I trust the word of Bill Lasky, and I trust my guy Mike in the YouTube chat. So thank you for that. So it's going to be a fun game. I didn't even get you guys a lineup. Shame on me, but it has been. I was actually shocked when I was going through my notes since the last time I did a Giants warm-up show. I only had to change one guy in the lineup, and that is batting in the 7th hole, Mike Yastrzemski in place of Luis Matos with the right-hander Charlie Morton on the mound. You got Jorge Soler batting first, batting leadoff in the DH spot. Lamont Wade Jr. batting second at first base. Elliot Ramos, your all-star. All-star for the Giants. Elliot Ramos is batting third in center field. Patrick Bailey is batting fourth, batting cleanup at catcher. Matt Chapman is batting fifth at third base. Michael Conforto batting sixth, and I want to see the matchup. That might be a tease to Diamond Notes. See that matchup with Michael Conforto and Charlie Morton in this game. But Michael Conforto is batting sixth in left field. Mike Yastrzemski, as I just mentioned, batting seventh in right field. Brett Wisely is at second base, batting eighth, and Nick Ahmed is batting ninth at shortstop. So Soler, Wade, Ramos, Bailey, Chapman, Conforto, Mike Yastrzemski, Wisely, Ahmed, and that is your Giants lineup as they take on Charlie Morton. Again, they turn to their ace, they turn to their superstar, they turn to their potential all-star, Logan Webb, who is on the mound for the Giants today. You wouldn't want it any other way for the Giants on 4th of July, and I hope everyone enjoys their 4th of July. It is a warm one. It is a hot one. Stay hydrated. Stay safe out there. And if you are drinking, drink responsibly. Like my guy, I think it was Mike, he was mixing in the water and the Corona. So yes, you have to be smart about it on 4th of July and get the grills going. I can't wait to get out to Young Tony's barbecue that is going on. That's so crazy, man. It's so crazy how that all happened. Love Young Tone from the Murph and Marcus show. So Giants and Braves in the rubber match in Atlanta. Happy 4th of July to everyone listening. We got the Giants warm-up show is concluding. We have the Giants pregame show officially kicking off in about 5 minutes. You're listening to KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Giants baseball, nothing like it.
Diving stab, Crawford throws to first. He got him. What a play.
On KNBR and KNBR FM, San Francisco.
Happy Independence Day to all, as today we celebrate America and hopefully a Giants victory. They're going to try to win a series here at the home of the Braves for the first time in 6 years ago. Logan Webb will try to be a star and earn his stripes. The Braves, they're going to counter with 40-year-old Charlie Morton, who'll try to recapture his old glory. I'm FP Santangelo along with Joe Rizzo, and it's our patriotic duty today to bring you all of tonight's star-spangled action. Crack open a cold one and put another hot dog on the grill. The Giants pregame show starts right now.
Hey, everybody. It is the 4th of July. So happy birthday, America. Happy 4th of July, baseball fans everywhere. What a great, great, great day. Hopefully you have the day off to enjoy a cookout, a barbecue, a picnic, a baseball game, something uniquely American, and enjoy this date in Giants history. July 4th, 2000 is what we're going to do. And the Giants were hosting the Colorado Rockies at Pac Bell Park. You know, the Giants loved 4th of July so much, they played 2 on the 4th of July on 7-4-0-0. Doubleheader. Game 1, Giants won 4-1.